My boyfriend is lying about being in medical school, and I'm gonna catch him.
Caught red-handed, I guess.
I, 26 female, have been dating Sam, 31 male, for about 4 months now. We met online and he told me he was going to be a doctor. The first 2 months were fine, but the last 2 months I have started to feel like he hasn't been honest about several aspects of his life. The biggest being him in medical school. He used to live overseas and was in medical school there for a short time. I'm pretty sure this is true because I've seen pictures. That was about 5 years ago. By the way, this comes from Throwaway839427. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Cowboy Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. The school that he says he goes to is fairly prestigious, and I have another friend, Jason, who graduated with a medical degree from the same school. Jason has told me how difficult the program was and how he never had time for anything besides studying. Jason also said that nobody in his program worked. Sam works 40 hours a week in an office, and I've never once seen him study. He always seems to have a completely open schedule to hang out all the time, which I thought was odd. I asked him why he's never studying, and he said he doesn't need to. I was always a good test taker and never studied a lot in college, but I still feel like medical school is a whole different ballgame. I've spent a lot of time at Sam's house and have never seen a single document suggesting he was in school. Textbooks, assignments, nothing. He also has let me use both of his computers, and I've never seen anything on his history or anything suggesting anything to do with school. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, I had papers all over my house and my computer always had school stuff on it. A few weeks ago, we were at dinner and I can't remember how this was brought up, but he mentioned that the human ear has 30-something bones in it. I know from high school biology that it has 3 bones, and I said he was wrong. He said something to the effect of, "I'm a medical student. Are you gonna tell me I'm wrong?" So I Googled it right in front of him and showed him that I was correct. And he seemed mad. I then asked him how many bones were in the human body, and he was wrong again. I feel like this is pretty basic stuff a medical student would know, right?
He's not that kind of doctor.
He's not that kind of doctor.
He's a dentist.
Getting an English degree.
You would still know it.
Even I know that. So this week I've been feeling suspicious, so I decided to prod. I asked him if I could come sit in one of his classes, and he said his school doesn't do that. Fine. I asked if we could meet up on campus for lunch, and he said I couldn't come because you need a student ID to get on campus due to the vid. Fine. I asked to see his student ID. He said he lost it. Then I asked him if he could send me a selfie of him in his hospital uniform. And he said he doesn't like the way he looks in a white coat. He sends me other selfies all the time. I feel like at this point he's lying, but some of my friends say I'm being paranoid. If he is lying, how should I prove it? I feel like you've already proved
I feel
it.
like you know. What do we need the proof for?
Edit, he's not actually my boyfriend. He's just someone I've been seeing frequently. I just wrote that for the ease of the title. Edit, felt it was worth noting that these past 6 weeks have been summer vacations, so he hasn't needed to be in class. He said he would get a new student ID when classes start. Okay, that I guess works. There are some relevant comments. I think he's either a terrible student and dumb.
But also now,
Yeah.
they said they've been kind of going on dates for
4 months.
For 4 months. Okay, so you're 2 months into that.
Yeah.
Is when you go on spring break or summer break. Yeah, he's not gonna have homework or stuff on it. He's on summer break.
Yeah, but so
I
she's
wouldn't
saying
expect
for the first,
to see him studying then.
Yeah, she's saying for the first 2 months that she knew him, basically, or like 2.5, that she never really saw him study.
Yeah,
That would
what
be
part
final
of medical
season.
school is he in? I don't know. Maybe
I
he's
feel like
not in
any
the-
part of medical
Maybe
school.
he's not in the test one. Maybe he's just in the, I'm like basically a doctor. I just go to work.
Deleted says, honey, you need to walk away. The red flags are waving in the breeze. Loudly. If he will lie about this, there is no limit to what he will lie about. Does he even work where he says he does? OP says, I've been to his office job and met his coworkers, so yes, I know he works 40 hours in an office.
Well-
Night Rider Girl 80 says, let me tell you this from the perspective of someone who caught a liar. Once you catch them in a lie this big, the trust is just gone. You're always going to have it in the back of your mind that he's lying, even when he's telling the truth. Lying about being in medical school is a big lie. Deleted says, of course he's lying. Of course he is. Wow. That is all kinds of manipulation and crazy crap. You already know this, don't you? Trying to be kind, but why haven't you called him out, really? Why on earth would you buy into this deceit? I'm guessing you're afraid that you'll find out the truth and then be confronted with whether or not you need to end the relationship, and you don't want to end the relationship. I get it, but this is so ridiculous that I'm worried for you. He has to have a student ID. Does he have a parking sticker? I'm guessing not, and he's going to give you some stupid excuse as to why not. Your friends say you're being paranoid. LOL, are they really your friends? Nope, absolutely not. If this guy is in medical school, then I'm not an ER nurse. Granted, retired. A 10-year-old knows how many bones are in the human ear. Don't minimize your suspicions. You are right. You're smart. He's lying. I'm not even buying the overseas medical school story based on his knowledge of the human body. He sounds manipulative. Please be careful. And OP says, the first month we dated, I only saw him 2 or 3 times. And then the last month has been summer vacation, so no classes. I didn't really think about it. I only started really getting suspicious when we had the conversation about ear bones, which was 3 weeks ago. Now I've looked back and realized how suspicious it all sounds. Deleted says, it isn't even that suspicious. It's just lying. And he gets angry when you prove him wrong? Girl, you've only been dating this lunatic for a short time. Trust me, he's not in any prestigious medical school. He's not in any medical school. I doubt he's even in college, given the lack of any supportive evidence. If he's lying about this, I know he is. What else is he lying about?
Honestly, the biggest factor that I'm like, I know this man is lying, is the fact that he's claiming to be in medical school with a 40-hour-a-week job.
Yeah,
still
that's
in an office.
There's no way.
There's no way.
You
wouldn't be able to do that part.
Yeah.
Anything else, I feel like, yeah, sure, there's a workaround.
Yeah.
Unless it's just like his summer 40-hour-a-week job.
That's crazy. You have to have a completed bachelor's degree, usually in the sciences, at an accredited university, and then pass the MCAT to be considered for med school. And that's not even a guarantee. I have a couple of MD friends, and I sent one a screenshot. She laughed so hard, and said if he's telling the truth, she doesn't want him working on her patients. He's lying. I'm sorry you're going through this, but it's better to find out the truth. There are a couple of ways. Ask him what he got on his MCAT, medical college admissions tests. It is required for enrollment into any accredited medical school. It includes a lot of science questions, which is why most doctors have a bachelor's in the science area. Ask him what classes he's taking. It should be a lot of anatomy, biology, chemistry, and histology. Most first-year med students study on average 4 to 8 hours a day. My friend is a biology and chemistry genius, and she studied 3 to 4 hours daily her first year. It got worse the second year. Medicine is one of the hardest degrees in the world. If it was that easy, we'd all be MDs. I'm so sorry you're going through this, but it's better to know the truth. Listen to your gut. Not for nothing, but my MD friend also mentioned that someone who goes to these extremes doesn't just have low self-esteem. Usually when they're caught, they play the I have low self-esteem, or I just wanted you to like me, or I was in medical school and I was planning on returning. It's a little scarier than that. So be careful. Sometimes these people really suffer from significant mental illnesses. You've only dated him for 4 months and they're quite good at hiding it. Please be careful. Good luck. And update 5 days later. What do you think?
I just feel like at this point, what do you even want with this man? Like,
Yeah.
is your goal to
trust
date
him.
him? Because, like, if it's one, reassess that. If it's not even to date him, just, I don't know,
just
move
stop.
on.
It
Guys,
doesn't
he's gonna
really
be a
matter.
doctor, though. He's gonna be a doctor.
I mean, like, you're
a
not
really
married
crappy
to him.
one.
Yeah. I really like Cow Bought His Gods comment.
Yeah.
He's in pre-med. He binge watches House
And Grey's
Grey's
Anatomy.
Anatomy.
and Grey's Anatomy every day. He spends
I
4 to 5 hours binge watching House.
What's the other one? The Pit. Is it the Pit?
I knew you were gonna say that. I heard the Pit, so I really
I
want to
heard
watch
it's
it.
really
I heard
good.
it's really good.
Yeah. Even doctors
mom
get like
watched that
PT.
one.
Like you know
Yeah.
how like veterans got PTSD from Saving Private Ryan.
I
a
thought you
lot
were
of
gonna say, you know how chefs got PTSD from
The Bear. That too.
Yeah.
But a lot of medical people said like the Pit is crazy. They're
I
like,
need
yeah,
to
that's a
watch.
great depiction.
Yeah, so
Not
he
Grey's
watches that.
Anatomy.
We have an update, but I agree. I think
Yeah.
there's, I don't know why we're causing a whole ruckus about it. It just
I
seems like
say,
you don't
like,
like him that much.
yeah, reassess to see if you even like this man.
Yeah.
I feel like it's somehow maybe in the deepest depths possible that he's
Yeah.
not lying, but why, if we're already like this set that he is, let's just
Yeah.
leave.
5 days later. So the response was overwhelming, and I'm glad I got confirmation on my suspicions. because I felt like I was going crazy. I broke up with him over FaceTime and didn't tell him the real reason. Just gave a vague explanation about not being ready to date anybody. By the way, you should be ready to listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There are other things in addition to my posts that I'm pretty sure he was also lying about. I didn't bring up any of his lies because honestly I feel slightly scared of a person who would lie about things like that. He didn't take it very well and sent me a barrage of texts trying to guilt trip me. It also was borderline pestering me into meeting up with him. Apparently he bought me a present and was trying to force me to take it. Overall, just really gaslighty and manipulative. I eventually just stopped responding and I haven't heard anything in a few days. Hopefully never have to see or speak to him again.
Great job, OP, but I'm really sad that you didn't ask him flat out.
I know. Why didn't we just ask?
Why
just
didn't
for
we just
us.
ask?
Just for us.
So sad. My boyfriend confessed that he resents my past while we plan our wedding.
Ooh, what happened in your past?
I am a 23-year-old woman and my boyfriend is 25. I'll call him Dan for this post. To give you some context, I'll briefly tell you how we met. When I was 19, I must confess, I was living a wild life. I had just moved out of my parents' house to go to college, and for the first time in my life, I experienced true freedom. By the way, this comes from Lonely Hamster 9917, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, I came from a home with overprotective parents who constantly stopped me from going out. I consider myself an extroverted person and have always enjoyed going out and having fun with my friends. During that time, I used to have one-night stands with people I met at parties. If I felt that a person and I had chemistry, I didn't see why we couldn't spend time together, as long as we both agreed and used protection. I've always thought that the idea that only men can enjoy their spicy-related life is quite sexist. It should be noted that during this time, I wasn't in any formal relationship with anyone. Dan and I were friends who had known each other for 2 years through social media. The truth is, the way we met in person wasn't so conventional, since I was kissing someone at that party. A few weeks later, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I was very happy. It was the first time in my life that I can safely say I truly fell in love. He was a person I admired deeply. His character and kindness moved me. He always supported me and encouraged me to bring out the best in myself. He gave me this image of the perfect boyfriend who has a stable job, someone you can rely on, who takes care of his family, is emotionally available at all times, and is a perfectionist in all areas, both personal and professional. I truly love him. He nourished my life so much that I saw my future by his side and dreamed of one day marrying him. When we first brought up the topic of marriage, he excitedly told me that he saw his future with me too, and that he wanted to marry me someday. He even gave me a promise ring, which is given when you want to assure someone that you will marry them in the future. You could say it's a step before an engagement ring. We would periodically talk about our wedding plans, where we'd like to live, how many kids to have. We even started planning our retirement. He would sometimes make comments like, "When we get married," or "I can't wait to marry you." A few months ago, we started arguing over minor things, misunderstandings, or things that were happening in his life that for some reason he wouldn't tell me. He preferred to turn to other people and hide his problems from me. We almost always resolved these arguments the next day and continued our relationship as if nothing had happened. Honestly, I didn't think our arguments were serious enough to be overly concerned. The plot twist happened last week when we were in the middle of a date eating in his car while watching a series. That night, I noticed him somewhat distant and quieter than usual. I thought maybe he had a bad day at work, so I decided to give him some space and ask about it when we finished dinner. When the series ended, I asked him why he was so serious. He jokingly replied that he had a stressful day at work and that he was just tired. We were getting ready to go back to our houses when he said, "What if I don't take you back to your house and take you with me?" I replied, "Let's leave it for when we get married next year." He remained silent for a few moments and said, "What if I told you that I don't really want to get married?" I looked at him, seriously surprised by the sudden revelation. I asked him where that came from, and somewhat annoyed, he told me that there were several things he had been hiding from me since we started dating. I told him to tell me the whole truth and say what he really thinks. These were his confessions.
I'm scared. Get into it.
The truth is, I don't want to get married, and I have no intention of ever getting married, because if I get married, I won't be able to see my friends like I used to, and I don't want to be locked up with you all the time.
Where did this come from? What? What happened?
I've been addicted to smoking devil's lettuce for a year now. I smoke it almost every day. It relaxes me and helps me stop thinking about my problems. Your past has always bothered me. I still can't believe you slept with people like it was nothing. And the worst part is that you don't regret it. I'm sick of people saying things to me about you and making fun of me for having you as a girlfriend. I don't see my future with someone with your past. Because of you, I have to keep up this mask of everything being fine. I'm stressed all the time. I feel pressured about marriage. I don't feel ready. And I honestly don't think I can get married, and you keep insisting all the time. I always feel like I have to tell you where I am and what I'm doing. I feel suffocated. I feel like I'm living in a loop where all my days are boring. I have no purpose, and I don't feel motivated by anything.
So get that time machine DeLorean, go way back, and make sure you never date this guy. Stop yourself from dating this guy, because boy, oh boy, that was rough.
All he had to say was he realized he never wanted to get married to anybody ever.
He needs one. This is stemming from a lot of stuff. Obviously, from people talking to him
This
behind your
man
back.
needs to get some freaking self-esteem and butt out of your past.
But this guy also needs to just, one, not let everything bottle up. He let everything bottle up, and he let everything out. Boy, this guy doesn't know how to communicate, but also got a very terrible mentality on a lot of things.
You can imagine the shock I felt when he revealed all of that to me. I felt like my world had turned upside down. All those things he admitted were totally opposite to the things he had told me and promised me. The strangest thing is that those were things we had both seriously discussed before we started dating. About marriage, he always showed interest in the subject and even gave me a promise ring. He often started the topic about our married life, so I don't understand where that complaint came from. Regarding his regular use, I suspected he was hiding something from me about his health, but I had no idea it was this serious. He always seemed to have everything under control. I never imagined he'd be going through something like that, and he never mentioned it to me. I had no way of knowing. About my past. When we first started dating, I was honest with him and told him about the things I used to do before I was in a relationship with him, mainly because I wanted to avoid any misunderstandings. I truly care about him and would never do anything to hurt him, much less be unfaithful. I didn't expect him, of all people, to judge me that way. Regarding his feelings about marriage, I had no idea that he felt that way. He never told me anything about his insecurities or his fears. In fact, he never told me his problems. He preferred to solve them on his own and keep his discomfort to himself, which led to several arguments over time. Finally, I must admit that at the beginning of our relationship, I was quite possessive and controlling. But I took note of my flaws and went to therapy to improve as a person and not damage our relationship. I healed many things about myself, and although I still need to improve in other areas, I must recognize that I've come a long way compared to how I was before. We had an argument about what we were going to do with our relationship. I thought he was planning to break up with me after confessing all that. But to my surprise, he told me he needed some time to go to therapy and make a decision. I replied that he should give me a clear answer at that moment. Do we break up or not? But he didn't know how to answer. That hurt me deeply. He didn't completely trust me, but he didn't want to let me go either. He insisted again that I give him time to go to therapy and make a decision. Although not totally convinced, I accepted his agreement. During the rest of the night, we didn't say anything. We just hugged and said goodbye. Right now, I feel confused. It turns out that the person I thought I knew better than anyone isn't like that. I love him, and part of me thinks that something must have caused that sudden explosion of emotions, because that was the first time he showed me that side of him. And by the way, I'll show you guys a whole new side of episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. Any final thoughts before we wrap this story up?
So you're probably in a very confused place right now. I think because this just happened and you're at a you're just like, whoa, that was a lot. I think he does need to go to therapy, and you guys need to have another serious conversation. Give yourself a little bit of space to just process things for him and for you, because that is a lot. I'm still processing what he said, because that was a flurry.
Kind of on team breakup.
I am too, because he's been holding this in for a long time.
Right.
He's been, in a way, lying to you. But I also would bring up the fact that something must have triggered this. Either A, again, he held it in for too long, or B, something must have triggered this to the extent it pushed him over the edge.
I'm a little too worried about his comments about your past and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Because that's
your past.
nothing that you did wrong, and I
Es-
think that if he can't like be okay with that, then he shouldn't date you.
And is he especially judging you, especially after you guys
Right.
talked about it even before you started dating.
Right. And right now, it seems like he just doesn't want to get married to anybody. And if that's something that you really want, that's like a pretty big deal.
It could be like something like he was so set on, and then like there's a hiccup or like depression or something.
That's fine to change your mind about it, but I don't think that we stay through. Like, I don't know. Right now, where I'm at, I feel like this is like a time to, at least reevaluate everything.
Definitely
but I'm
reevaluate
leaning
and-
towards this could be a break.
Like I said, just process things. I would say don't process things right out of emotion. Like okay, let's come back to reality here. Let's take some time, have another genuine conversation, because you were even like, all right, with all that, do you want to break up? And he's like, I don't even know what I want right now. So he's definitely at a place where he's lost. You're also like, what the F just happened? I feel like this is something that needs to be worked on before we make any sudden changes or decisions completely.
But if in the end it turns out that all this was the truth from the beginning and he has no intentions of changing, I don't want to have someone who's trapped in the past. The worst thing is that part of me feels that I owe him for all those times that I hurt him and overwhelmed him because of my insecurities. I would like to hear your opinions. Even more so, I would like to hear the experiences of people who have been through similar situations. That is the end of that story.
I'm being forced to lie about my current job, but I couldn't do it.
Your pants will go on fire. Liar, liar.
It's true. I work at a biotech company developing a platform for diagnostic assays. It's vague, I know, but I definitely can't be specific. My job entails developing assay chemistries to be used on this platform. It's similar to academic research, but much faster paced because it tends to be based on pre-existing formulations.
Assay. The testing of a metal or ore to determine its ingredients and quality.
My team is under a ton of pressure from the CEOs to churn out developed chemistries as fast as possible. By the way, this comes from Bioteenilated. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I am Savannah.
I'm Carly.
And we are here to give you good advice goofily, but we do not have all the answers. We would only tell you what we would do in this situation, so please tell us what you would do in the comments. As OP says, there are a good number of criteria and design constraints that must be met for each project, like percent CVs below a certain threshold or variability under specific conditions. They're not so stringent that I would say they're ready for validation. I'm completely new to industry and chemistry is not my strong suit, so I tend to be partnered with other chemists, and we meet with my boss and our team advisor together to discuss results and direction for each project. I've come to understand that in these meetings, it is recommended to be extremely selective about what you tell the bosses, as in ignoring the bulk of the evidence that suggests the formulation is not working, and instead present the one graph that looks okay and tell them everything's passing with flying colors. I have to look them in the eye when my partner says these things and smile and nod. Once the lie is in place, I then have to back it up with data that is simply unattainable, and I get crap from my boss for it. At this point, my boss has lied to the CEOs about the degree of progress made on the project, so now he is under pressure to get results out of me. This is apparently common practice for everyone here. We all lie to each other's faces about the science to look better in the short term, when in reality, we're building a non-functional product. The CEOs reward those who tell them exactly what they want to hear and punish sometimes by firing those who bring up problems or suggestions for improvement. Even supervisors who try to repair the system by holding their employees accountable for their data and giving honest information to the CEOs do not last long here. Everything is image-driven because we're all aware we could be fired for not being optimistic enough. I can think of only 2 people in the entire company who care about the truth behind their work. I firmly believe this system is going to drive the company into the ground because the CEOs are training everyone to lie to them. When they try to implement this product, it's going to fall apart because there is just no accountability. I can't stand it. I've stayed in this job for about 6 months because it pays very well, but I'm running out of steam. I hate chemistry. My degree is in bioengineering,
and I hate this company. I left at noon today because I couldn't keep myself from crying. Seriously. I hate lying to people, and I hate discrediting myself by pretending I'm okay with it. I'm afraid of speaking out. This entire organization is hollow and fear-based. I'm deeply distraught, and I would like to know whether this is just the reality of working in industry or whether I should get out of this particular job. Is this how all industry jobs are? If so, I will be looking for a change in careers. Science should be about seeing reality and using it to make informed decisions and inventions, not warping it to promote yourself. And there's an edit. Thanks, guys. This is my first job, and I was seriously afraid that this was what companies are like everywhere. I value myself much more than I value these people's approval. I've already submitted resumes to 4 companies in my area since lunch, and I will continue to search until I find an employer who takes their product and their employees seriously. When that happens, I will very much enjoy saying goodbye to this place. And there are some comments, but
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the advice that OP is going to get is exactly what I was going to say. Just, you need to get out of there. Find another job. That sounds awful and just, like, horrifyingly illegal in some ways.
it also just sounds like nothing would ever get done.
Right, like, what are you actually working towards?
Yeah, it's like, oh, give me that by, next Friday. And then next Friday comes around and it's like, oh, we couldn't do it because the flim flam broke and blah, blah, blah. And they're like,
right.
All right, got it. And then they're like, we'll give it to me next week. And then next week there's another excuse to why it can't. Like,
you're never going to actually get this product. So, like, what will you have to show for your work?
Yeah, and like, so you just have to keep lying that the product's not done, but what are you even doing on the product? Like, that's what I'm confused about. Like, what is this job? Just lying to people saying, I'm working on it, but then not actually working on it?
And this is not how most jobs are. Do not think that. I don't know any jobs really that are this bad about, like, lines and lying and getting fired for it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a very creditable business.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I would get out of there because none of that makes sense to me. And you're just, like, lying and then getting paid for not doing anything. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But here's some comments. This one was actually deleted. I hate lying to people and I hate discrediting myself by pretending I'm okay with it. I think you know everything you need to know with just that one sentence. Forget normal. You have to decide for yourself whether your job is worth keeping. But I would suggest that if your job is causing you as much stress and unhappiness as it appears to be, then whatever your morals, you should be looking for other employment. That job is simply not for you. Good luck. State at Woot said, sending out those resumes are the best thing you could be doing right now. You will look very presentable to an interviewer if you currently hold a position. My advice would be, in the interview, be very diplomatic when talking about your current employer/boss/colleagues. In fact, I would advise you to say nothing negative as much as you want to be truthful. As an interviewer, I have no way of verifying whether your current employer is indeed terrible. If they ask you why you're looking to leave, mention the chemistry angle, that you really are looking for more experience in biotech. There is another deleted comment. Obtainable, relieved, cake kiss juggle, innocent, squalid, dependent, scale, spectacular, mass, edited with redact.dev. OP responds, I think you might be psychic. I know my boss to be untrustworthy. Another employee was kicked out recently because his data didn't match the tables of grandeur, he told. Boss then lied about his employee to save his own butt. Thankfully, my expenses are very low. Renting, no kids, no pets, no debt. So I know I have the option of rage quitting if that's what it comes to, and I'll be able to survive on savings. Judgment, not the a-hole. There's an update. 9 years later.
9
years later. After many DMs, and with the popularity of The Dropout on Hulu rising, let me clarify that yes, this was Theranos. Yes, I work with Ian Gibbons. His enthusiasm for microfluidics during my interview was what sold me on the company. Yes, I saw Elizabeth and Sunny. Yes, I continued to work in this industry and am happy and successful and grateful for the perspective this job gave me in a thank you next kind of way. Plus, I came away with some good stories to tell at parties. By the way, we can give you some good stories to tell at parties with full episodes like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's a little bit more. Should we just keep going? Or?
Go for it.
All right. Here's some comments. OP says, after this post, I started looking for new jobs, and after about 3 months, decided to quit without another job lined up. Or rather, I reached a point where I would drive to work and sit in my car and cry and realize I just couldn't push myself to keep playing along, to do the responsible thing of having another job in hand before jumping ship. I wrote my resignation letter, gave it to my manager, and same day had an exit interview with Sonny where he asked me no questions nor offered me the opportunity to explain why I was leaving, and just intimidated me and demanded that I sign a huge stack of NDAs before walking out. It wasn't until at least a year after I left that Theranos came out of stealth mode and started getting media attention. It was interesting and weird to watch it explode, and frustrating to see EH praised all over the place, all while I wondered how they could have ever gotten over the problems I saw while I was there. And ultimately, it was satisfying, but still weird to watch it come crumbling down. Even weirder now is seeing people I actually worked with portrayed by famous actors. Weird. Weird,
oh, wow.
weird.
So this might have been like a big thing.
Yeah, well, it does sound weird. So I'd have to agree with you on that. After that, I took a break from the biotech industry and just pursued some passions of mine and took a low-key receptionist job at a local business. Just tried to rebuild my soul for a few months. After that, I went on to work at some incredible institutions, both academic and industrial, and am currently employed at an industry-leading biotech company that puts an emphasis on doing good in the world and maintaining transparency and respect in the workplace. So definitely a happy ending for me. Oh, good, OP. I'm glad.
Yay.
I'm glad you got the happy ending you deserved. I'm sorry you had to go through all of that. But
It's always sad to hit like your full breaking point to
Yeah.
get there, but it usually means better things.
true. And I think in this case, you did everything that you could. You got away from something toxic and you bettered yourself, and you're finally where you deserve to be. Good job, OP.
Good job.
But that is the end of the story.
I lied as a teenager, and it followed me into adulthood.
What was the lie?
I'm not Jewish.
Oh boy.
Not even a little bit. If you asked me any questions about Judaism, I could not tell you, but still, everyone thinks I am Jewish. It all started in high school, 11th grade. I had just moved from California to the South, and it was a rough time. I was called every horrible name in the book because I talked different. By the way, this comes from user Fake Jew. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
And I'm Vincent.
But we don't know everything other than Keon's half Jewish. So if you know more stuff than us, let us know in the comments. I slowly befriended some of the guys on the football team, and my closest friend was the center that we will call Greg. Greg is a super chill guy compared to everyone around him, but he is still very, very open about all his opinions. Well, one day, I'm driving Greg and a few other football players home from school, and he makes a comment about synagogues. Without even thinking, I mentioned that I've been to one, and this is where it all started. This prompted one of the other guys to joke that I was a Jew, and trying to be chill since these were the only friends I had, I went, yep, I am Jewish. And then it all went downhill. Greg told everyone on the football team how his new friend from California was a Jew, a California Jew, and they all believed it since most of them thought there were only Jews in California anyway.
Where did you move? I'm sorry. Time out.
He moved to the South.
Holy cow.
The football players spread that to the rest of the school. At this point, I still thought it was a joke and everyone was just jokingly calling me Jewish, so I just kept going with it. Then I became known as the Jewish kid and started to actually become popular since everyone wanted to be friends with the different kids.
It's the shtick. Everyone's going to be like, he's going to roll with this because it's like, people know me.
The fact that my dad had money helped too, a lot compared to the poor area I went to school in. So I could afford to buy nice things, and people tend to be attracted to that. And so being Jewish almost became my identity. It became who I was. So whenever someone would ask my religion, I just automatically told them I was Jewish. Fast forward to the end of high school, and the counselors are walking people through scholarship stuff. My counselor calls me into his office and hands me a slip for a $5,000 Jewish American scholarship. Now, as soon as I read Jewish American scholarship, I was going to walk out and throw it out, but he made me sit down and fill it out with him, and then took it from me to submit it. I felt horrible for even doing it, but somewhat relieved when I heard that they only gave it to people who were also ethnically Jewish, so I knew I would not get it. I got it. I received a letter in the mail saying I was chosen as the winner of this $5,000 scholarship.
That's crazy.
It is kind of
Could you
crazy.
imagine all the actual Jewish people going like,
It just makes you think.
what?
Like, what are they doing over there?
I don't know.
It's like, yeah, whatever. I got accepted to Dartmouth due to the fact that I worked my butt off in high school and was the valedictorian, though my competition was not plentiful, to say the least. But I never thought that I would have been able to afford it, and the scholarship was huge in helping me towards that. I considered spilling everything then and declining the scholarship, telling everyone at school and telling almost every single form I had filled out that I was not actually Jewish. I decided to tell my dad and ask him for advice, as he has always been a guy you can talk to about anything whatsoever. So I tell him everything. I tell him about the joke, then the lie, then everything. And now the scholarship, which I had not told any of my family about because 1, I never thought I would get it, and 2, they would question why a very not Jewish person was getting a Jewish American scholarship. As soon as I told my father, he looked me right in the eyes with the most serious, disappointed face, and then burst into tears laughing. The way he reacted, it must have been the funniest thing he had ever heard in his life. He told me he had gotten a letter in the mail asking if I was ethnically Jewish for a scholarship I had entered, and being the person he is, he just saw the chance for college money and went, yep, Jewish. And that was apparently all they needed. My dad convinced me to keep the money and go to my dream college, and I did. As soon as I arrived at university, I was met with some people from the group that gave me this scholarship, some Jewish American organization funded by wealthy Israelis. They told me and enlisted me into all these Jewish clubs, and they got me set up in a synagogue. I met everyone there, and I would later learn that 2 of the people there would be my professors, who were very Jewish. Finally, they told me they had set me up with the whole birthright thing where they fly American Jews out to Israel. I was so shocked. I was at my dream school, plus I was being hit with all this, and it was too much. I thought about coming clean a lot of times, but I felt like all the people around me would suddenly feel betrayed and leave me. I became good friends with a lot of people in these Jewish clubs. I bonded with my teachers a lot better, since they believed I was Jewish. I met the most beautiful Jewish girl, who I met through her mother when she came up to me in a cafe and asked me if I was Jewish since I was with the local rabbi. I said yes. And she told me that I would love her daughter, and we went on a date and instantly hit it off.
Oh my God!
Oh. This all started from one of his boys just being like, yeah, you're Jewish, right?
No, it didn't even start like that, Vincent. Vincent, you know how it started?
How did it start?
It started with, you've been to a synagogue, right? That's literally how it started. He went, yeah. That is the snowball that avalanched. You've been to a synagogue, right? Yeah.
All the while, I was dealing with severe depression since I felt horrible every second of every day, in addition to the already enormous amounts of stress university puts on you. I managed to get all the way through 11 years of college to get my doctorate. I got a job at a history museum back on the West Coast.
Say that one more time.
Is it the Jewish American History Museum?
Is it the Museum of Tolerance?
Is it the Museum of Tolerance? I married that Jewish girl. We had a Jewish wedding with her entire family and my 2 parents, and my dad had spilled the beans to my mom about 2 days after I told him.
Your mom knows this now?
And she found it equally as funny. We have had 3 little Jewish babies.
Half Jewish, I would assume. Dude, brain can't comprehend this.
The museum put me in charge of organizing and creating a huge Holocaust and Jewish American history exhibit.
It's the Museum of Tolerance.
Even though that is not my specific field in the slightest. And in a few months, when the current curator retires at the age of 96, I will hopefully be taking his place. He has been training me for the job. I have worked there the longest, and I have made sure that I am dang good at my job. My life has turned out great, but deep down it will always haunt me that my entire life is built on a lie. My kids' lives, my life, and my wife's life all came from a joke in a car 20 years ago. I was never going to tell a soul this, but today my oldest son, who's 9, told me that he does not think he believes in God. I told him I agreed. It was the first time in 20 years that I told the truth about my religion and did not lie. My son wants to tell his mom that he does not want to continue being Jewish, and I might use this as my way of getting out as well.
If you've done this for 20 plus years, what's another 20?
I told him that we would tell his mom tomorrow at dinner, and he seems almost as excited as I am, but equally as nervous.
I doubt that. Don't rally your son into this mess of, yeah, no, he's really excited to spill the beans that over the last, 20 years, been living a lie.
Yeah, no, it's just all been a lie. Everything was a lie. None of this would have happened if I hadn't been lying the entire 20 years I knew you. Wish us luck, I guess. I am still unsure if I should tell her the whole truth or if I should just leave it with that I no longer want to be Jewish. And there is an edit. Just for clarification, because people have been questioning my use of the word university in place of college, yes, I know they are not the same thing. I have just been surrounded by British people lately, and they all use university, so I have been saying that instead of college. It is a recently adopted habit, and I can assure you I am an American, born in Folsom, California, moving to Orange County, and then to Santa Clarita, California, where I lived for most of my younger life, until my family moved to Americus, Georgia. I can assure you I am definitely American, and as for my wife not finding out from my side of the family, it is mainly due to the fact that we don't talk to my side of the family for personal reasons, and I have not talked to them in years. My wife has only ever met my parents once, at the wedding, but she also wants nothing to do with them. I've decided I am just going to tell her I am not Jewish. I will not tell her I have lied about being Jewish for all these years, but I'm just going to tell her that I am not Jewish. Someone also said that since both sides of my family are Czech, there is a good chance I am Jewish, so I'm thinking of doing a DNA test soon.
Do that first.
Do that one first.
Yeah, can you imagine? Like Carly said, like we said, that's crazy.
When I said I know nothing about Judaism, that was an extreme exaggeration. I have obviously picked up a lot of knowledge over the years, and I think my wife may have an idea due to the fact that whenever a Jewish holiday is coming up, she will remind me about it and tell me when it is and what it is, if I do not already know. I will update later tonight on how it goes. So I talked to her, and I decided to just tell her everything.
Oh boy.
And it did not go like I expected. She told me she had a feeling I wasn't Jewish from the beginning, but she never married me just because I was Jewish. She married me for me, regardless of my faith. She knew all along.
That's crazy. I mean, that makes sense. She's like, listen, I've been raised Jewish. Bro, you don't even know how to say, like, shalom.
Yeah, she got you as soon as you called it a dreidel. She said she was sorry that I felt like I had to hide this from her for so many years, and that I don't have to pretend to be Jewish if I don't want to. By the way, I'm not pretending when I say you can listen to full episodes of stories like this wherever you listen to podcasts like iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Just search OK Storytime and get to listening, because there is a lot of fun to be had. But like a lot of people have commented, I do feel sort of culturally Jewish now.
Oh boy, I would hope so.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
2
20
decades.
It's been 20 years, my guy.
I definitely identify more as a member of the Jewish community than I do any others. We are not going to pressure any of our kids into Judaism, and we are going to let them decide what they want to do for themselves. My wife and I also agreed that it would be for the best if we gave back, since all the opportunities afforded to me came from the Jewish community. We're going to get involved with an organization, and we are donating to 3 different scholarships for $5,000 each, and trying to help fund birthright trips whenever we can.
Yeah, find 3 other candidates who lied about being Jewish, and they can also live a life like yours.
Yep. And the cycle
Wow.
continues.
My sister-in-law spread lies about me, and the whole family believed her.
She's lying! She's lying!
I, female 31, and my husband, male 30, have been married now for almost 4 years. For background information, I am from Europe and finally moved to the US 4 years ago. By the way, this comes from LuckDragon6203, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Savannah.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Dakota.
And we are here to yippity yap about some things. But we would love if you could yippity yap in the comments about all the stuff that we don't know. My husband and I dated for 2 years before we got married. Even though we got married earlier because of the start of the pandemic, when the borders were about to shut down. We already had plans to get married the following year. This was not an easy decision for me, since that meant that I had to give up my visa, leading to permanent residency based on my career, and forced me to stop working for almost 2 years until the government approved the green card application based on our marriage. Before we got married, we were in a far distance relationship, but because of work, I spent about 6 months in total in the US every year. The relationship with his family has always been very difficult. Before anyone even met me, I was accused of just being with my husband because I wanted to steal a green card, and 90 Days Fiance was a family joke used behind my back.
Yikes.
His parents refused to even meet me for a year just based on the fact that I am from a foreign country, which made me a suspicious person in their opinion. I'm so sorry, OP. That's just crazy, and I hate how people can just judge that quickly.
Yeah, it's
without
so frustrating
knowing
to deal with this.
anything. And if you were to go outside of the US, so much prettier. I mean,
Well,
like,
it depends on where you go in the
I
US.
don't know. His parents and sister also tried to talk my husband out of our engagement, since I was a useless partner. In the beginning, I understood that there are people in the US who are suspicious of immigrants due to their political beliefs. So I decided to open up to them, talking about my career and interest, hoping that might show them that I honestly love their son/brother. Unfortunately, this backfired, and instead of getting to know me, the information about me was twisted, so I appeared suspicious in extended family circles and got an awkward reaction from extended family when I went to family meetings. I never got an apology for that type of behavior, but when my husband and I got married, his family and I agreed to have a fresh start because at that point, we were not even on speaking terms.
You're not on speaking terms, and you were like, yeah, let's just start this over. And they're like, yeah, let's.
Yeah.
I want to say everything I said before again.
Unfortunately, they kept gossiping about me and ignored me during our wedding and on most holidays, even though they expected us to come to every holiday from Labor Day to Christmas, and accused me of dividing the family when we decided to spend one holiday not with them. These accusations were never addressed with me, but were made behind my back. Fast forwarding to now. For the past 2 years, my sister-in-law, let's call her Brittany, has ignored me and does not speak to me up to this day. A few months ago, my neighbor approached me and told me she needed to speak to me. She said she overheard a conversation between my mother-in-law, Brittany, and my husband, in which Brittany sat my brother down and told him to get a divorce since I destroyed the family with my opinions.
Oh, Lord.
Suggesting a way to get me deported out of the country.
Oh, my God.
And my sanity was questioned and debated what was wrong with my childhood and parents for me to turn out this badly and be that outspoken. Be that outspoken is crazy because she tried to relate to you by telling you her interest, her hobbies.
It's like
her
she
beliefs.
tried to tell me that women have hobbies.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah, ew.
I told her that she should speak when spoken to.
Sounds like they're very
Gross.
right-wing, unfortunately. Moreover, my neighbor took notes of the conversation and gave them to me after apologizing for overstepping. But she thought I should know how my family treats me behind my back. This was very shocking to me. The reason why Brittany stopped talking to me is because of the conflict I had with her parents 2 years ago. In short, my husband and I did not go to Easter during the pandemic because his parents did not want to take the vid self-test during the height of the pandemic. I did not feel safe around his unvaccinated family and concluded that I really could not attend Easter with 8 people staying in a tiny living room, half of the family unvaccinated, and nobody wearing masks in public anymore unless everyone took a self-test we would have provided for them. I mean, it's just like you set boundaries. Those are your boundaries. And they're like, what?
Boundaries?
That's inflicting on my rights to wear a mask.
Yeah, this is my right as an American, and you can't create boundaries because I don't believe in them, except for the ones that keep you out as an immigrant.
Yeah.
That's the only boundary I believe in as an American.
That is just crazy. And that like breaks my heart for OP because it's like
OP
you
just,
have done nothing.
Yeah, OP moved to another country, is away from her whole support system, if she had that, but is away from that, friends, family, to be with this person that she loves and then is treated awfully. If I were the partner, I would be cutting this family off.
Oh, for sure.
This is unacceptable treatment.
Like, that is just... And to be treated with such hostility over what? Because I'm different from you? That is just crazy. During a phone call with his parents, I addressed this issue and tried to be as careful as possible by saying that I know we have different opinions about the vid, and I am not calling to convince them, but that I really could not attend Easter without them taking a self-test as recommended by the CDC. I acknowledge that this might be uncomfortable for them and apologize for that, but I was asking them if they could just do me this favor for this one holiday and take a test we would give to them. They got very upset, saying I could not force my ideology on them and that I could just stay home if I felt uncomfortable with their choice. Then they hung up.
I mean, I know a lot of people were doing this, but it just is so shocking to me.
Yeah.
It's just a test.
It literally.
If
it's just
so
to make sure
worried.
everyone's safe.
Yeah.
Just to make sure nobody ends up in the hospital. Like, this is your health.
Yeah. No, I never understood the whole,
Neither did I.
anti-testing.
Anti-masks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that. I'm like, it's...
I worked with people who were like that. And, like, the thing is, they were such good people. And then you would hear their, like, ideas and, like, their beliefs. And I'm like, Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's not even, you're
Yeah.
a good person.
Yeah.
What is happening here?
Yeah,
It was
it's crazy.
so weird. Since the phone call was so bad, I decided to write a letter explaining again why this was important to me and that I did not appreciate their reaction. My husband and friend both read that letter to make sure it was not provocative and respectful. This was the first time I told them I was not okay with their behavior. Before, I always just stayed quiet when they insulted me. The parents showed the letter to Brittany and she thought it was outrageous that I asked them to take a test and that I spoke up at all. There was a conflict resolution talk with his parents, but since Brittany is very provocative and told me she wanted to tell me during that talk what was wrong with me and the relationship with his parents was already bad, I asked her to not attend the conflict resolution talk. But I offered her a separate conversation afterwards if she would like to address something with me. She was very angry about that and said that it could not always go my way and I needed to compromise. Okay, so let's go your way then.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not compromise.
Yeah, it can't always go your way. It always has to go my way, though.
Yeah.
Actually, I know it's never gone your way before, but we're gonna keep that run. We're gonna keep going on that way.
Like the logic in these people's minds is just so construed. It just like it hurts. It's like talking to a brick wall that you like are telling it to turn to wood.
Yeah.
Like, come on, do it. You know you can. Like, huh? It's crazy. It's crazy that people think this way.
Yeah.
And still think this way too. She declined. Then I was accused by his family that I would exclude Brittany unfairly and hurt her feelings, and she had the right to attend that conversation even though she was not part of the actual conflict. Since that Easter, I have reached out to Brittany multiple times, but she refuses to speak to me. Brittany told people that I would abuse her brother
Oh,
and manipulate
Lord.
him, that I am malicious and the person she hates most on this planet.
The person she hates most on the planet?
That's insane. For
How?
what?
There's so many people on the planet.
so many people.
And she hates you the most?
I learned about this and realized the extent of her doing when I attended a wedding in the family 2 weeks ago. On multiple occasions, people came up to me and told me they did not believe the slander and were on my side. When I reacted confused, they told me about Brittany's accusations. Moreover, multiple times I had people tell me after a conversation that night that they were surprised at how kind and smart I am and that they were told I was malicious and an idiot by family members they did not want to name.
Why are you protecting those family
Yeah,
members?
you could just name them. We already know.
Yeah,
I
if you're bringing it up, I don't know, if you have the audacity to bring up that someone told you that, like, imagine I come to you and I'm like, wow, like, people really told me that you were an idiot.
Yeah.
People
The
like,
fact that they're like bringing it up.
yeah,
or
and you're like,
whatever,
wait,
yeah.
who told you that I was
Yeah.
an idiot?
At a wedding.
Yeah. And it's like, oh
It's
no,
like,
I couldn't possibly tell you who. I just wanted to tell you what they were
I just
saying.
wanted to like bait
Yeah.
you a little bit.
Yeah. So you're interested.
I didn't want you to feel nothing at this wedding. One example that came up multiple times is her accusation that I would just use her brother because I am going back to school. I attend an online university in Europe, $600 a year, part-time after solely supporting my husband's business for 4 years. I really tried to get along with his mother and sister. I tried to meet them for lunch. They canceled, always last minute. Made thoughtful gifts and messaged them regularly to ask them how they were doing. I am known in my friends group for being considerate and kind. I know I am not free of mistakes, but I deeply care about the people in my life. This is why I simply cannot take the gaslighting anymore. When I am labeled as malicious and talked about constantly behind my back. It has been 6 years now. It is simply too hard. My entire family lives in Europe, and it is very hurtful that my husband's family treats me like this. My husband does not want to talk anymore about his sister's behavior and shuts me down every time I try to address his sister's new actions. What can I do to normalize the situation with Brittany? We want to have children in 4 years, but I cannot imagine bringing children into this family situation. I am very grateful for any form of advice. Thank you for taking the time to read my post. There is an edit. Thank you for all of your responses. I am reading all of them. I'm starting to realize that the only solution is that we go non-contact with them, or my husband needs to speak up all the time as I deserve it. Since this came up a lot in the comments, here is some information. No, my husband is not a Trump/MAGA supporter. He shares my political views and opposes his family's opinions.
And yet, not to the point where he's willing to stand up to you or stand up for you to them.
Yeah.
I think there are scenarios where different family members can have different opinions and you can still love them and, you know, have a relationship with them. But in this case, they're actively disrespecting your partner, actively telling her, you know, or spreading lies about her. And he's doing nothing to stop this and actively continuing the relationship with them. So I feel like this is an issue with your husband rather than an issue with the family as a whole.
It seems like the family is like a lost cause. They're not going to
Yeah.
change. They don't care to
They
change. They
suck.
don't want to change. They think they're right. Let them think that and just be done with them. But the fact that like the person you're actually involved with, your husband, is not doing anything about that and is seeing all of these things that they do to hurt you and he's just ignoring it, that's crappy.
It's
and
crappy.
you should not stand for that. I'd be like, oh, okay, so you're just like them. Then why am I here? I don't know.
Redonkulous.
Pisses me off. He spent a lot of time with his grandfather when he was young, and his grandfather is probably the only normal person in this family. I should also mention that my husband is very loving and caring when we are all alone or with our friends. He does not seem to have a problem speaking up with his friends or me, just if he is around family. He is considered the odd person in his family and belittled by his parents and sister. They are very manipulative in the sense that they will not tell him directly that he should get a 9 to 5 in his dad's industry instead of owning a business. Instead, they will ask manipulative questions to make him doubt himself. Afterwards, they shower him with love or just compliment him on things they do like about him. They do that with his business, hobbies, haircut. Oh God. His coping strategy was always to say nothing and then to do what he wanted anyway. I guess this is why he has a hard time speaking up. We had a few couple therapy sessions after the neighbor told me about the conversation with mother-in-law and sister-in-law. My husband acknowledged that it was wrong what he did, but it will take him time. Even though this is very frustrating for me, I do understand that it might not be easy for someone when his entire upbringing is shattered while he still loves his family. Some of you suggested that we should move to Europe. Even though I planned on moving there when I give birth to future children for a few years, this will not happen until I have children, and if I have children. The U.S. has been my home for the past 10 years. My career is here, my friends are here, my life is here, and I strongly refuse to leave the country because of some discriminatory, toxic people who are unfortunately my in-laws. And there's an update. My parents-in-law are the vid skeptics and never took the vid precautions to be safe attending a holiday. I asked them during the height of the pandemic, despite our differences regarding the vid, to do us a favor and to take a self-test provided by us. Despite a phone call and a message I sent shortly before the holiday, they weren't willing to take the test and called us entitled for just asking. They also didn't care we couldn't attend the holiday because of this. Then my sister-in-law got involved. She bombarded my husband with messages and wanted to attend the conflict resolution talk to tell me how entitled I was for a self-test. Since my relationship with my parents-in-laws has always been difficult because they sabotaged my relationship and disliked me as an immigrant, I didn't want sister-in-law to escalate the talk with my parent-in-laws any farther. I reassured her I wanted to clarify any conflict with her afterward and asked for her understanding. She had nothing to do with the conflict, so I didn't see a point of her being there just to insult me. My mother-in-law reached out and was upset about excluding sister-in-law from the talk and making her feel like she was not family.
Oh, that's so funny. Because you guys are doing
Yeah.
that with OP.
Literally.
Doing a bang-up job
This
excluding
entire
OP.
time. It's not even just like one
No.
example.
It's all of the
the
time that
entire-
you've known her.
Yes, the entire relationship you've had has just been hostile and negative. So,
So a little
The
bit of a
one
pot
time.
calling the kettle black situation.
I don't even know what that means. We didn't let her come to the talk. After she ignored me for 8 months, I met her again at a round family birthday. To my surprise, she said she didn't want to impose, but would like to talk to me. I agreed to talk, but not during the party. I offered to talk outside for a few minutes and back home another day. When we said our goodbyes, sister-in-law lost it, started crying, and screamed that we couldn't just leave. I promised her we would talk the following week, but when she kept making a scene, we left. Sister-in-law followed us to the parking lot and kept yelling. Okay,
Yeah, she's
I
like a
mean,
stalker.
that's crazy.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I managed to calm her down because she was only available on the weekend, and I was visiting my pregnant friend in another state on that weekend, and I left to see my family abroad the following Monday. I offered to come back home earlier from my friend if she insisted. She made it very clear that we wouldn't have a relationship until I would fix it with her parents. I expressed that I wish she could understand my perspective. By the way, you can understand our perspective by listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app, and just search OK Story Time.
Do it.
All right, what do we got to say about this? I mean, that girl's crazy now.
Yeah.
I mean, not that she wasn't before, but just her reaction. Like, that's
Yeah.
what happens, though, when, like, you know, like, narcissists, like, they get that way. If they don't get their way, it's a huge blow up.
It's her way of the highway.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all of the siblings. I mean, the sister-in-law, the parents-in-law, everyone on that side seems like bent on making sure that OP is not welcome in this family, and they're doing a pretty good job. And OP's husband is not standing up. And I feel like the only solution is to like limit or like no contact with these people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
no.
he's willing to do that.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like, I don't want you to have to choose between me and your family because I know, they love you very much, blah, blah, blah. But you also have to see my side of it. If we're going to do this partnership, this relationship has to be very clear with boundaries because these people hurt me. They have never once been nice to me. And you need to see that. Like, that's not okay. Why would you want me to go through this,
Open your eyes.
Literally.
Realize, realize,
Realize.
realize.
To accommodate her, I paid $100 to change my ticket to return home earlier for my friend. When I reached out to sister-in-law the next day to agree on a specific time, she informed me she would bring my mother-in-law so she could tell me how difficult of a daughter-in-law I was. I respectfully texted sister-in-law that we didn't agree on that beforehand and I didn't have the time of day before I went abroad to solve 2 conflicts. Also, I expressed that she knew I went low contact with her parents because of all the hurtful instances with them. I offered to talk to them once I had returned. At that point, my husband intervened and had a 4-hour phone call with her.
Finally.
She canceled the meeting and has ignored me ever since. Wow.
She was like, no, actually, we're not having a meeting. That scares me. I don't like it. I'm probably going to be in trouble. I don't want a meeting.
Yeah. It's like, now that you don't have backup,
Yeah.
like now that you can't just have a normal conversation between me and you, now it's like, oh God, now I'm going to be proven wrong. No,
I can't just yell at you now.
Yeah.
Someone's going to try and
Literally,
stop me.
That's what she wanted. She wanted just like an interrogation, which I've been there before, like with the previous boss where like I was like, you're not accommodating to me.
Yeah.
I quit. And then she had everyone come in. She was like, oh, before you start, let's have a meeting. And I was like, what? I literally was about to go to like, teach children improv. And she was like, oh, let's have a talk first. She brought like 10 people in and they all were like,
Oh my
yeah, I
God.
don't understand why you're doing this.
Oh my
and I was
God.
crying because I was like, I don't mean to like be rude. This isn't accommodating to my schedule. And
That's awful.
I recorded the whole thing and I still have it.
Is she good?
Yeah. And my mom was
That's
like,
awful.
how dare she? All this stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was weird because she also like hired my sister years ago and loved my sister. And then now like she has this like warped version of me. And it's like, I'm not
So weird.
not like that, but okay. My family and friends told me that she acts completely irrationally and mischievously. Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister-in-law bring my mother-in-law to our talk? No, you're not the a-hole.
Nope.
What?
We really need to limit contact with these people. They suck.
Yeah. It's like they are not going to change. They don't want to. They want to just yell at you until you feel so horrible that you'll like probably just end the marriage.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
like,
just kind of like attack you and attack you, attack you.
yeah.
It's like a onslaught of attacks until
Yeah.
you just give in.
It's like, why do they not want to live harmoniously? Like, they just want to cause problems
Yeah.
for what? Because I'm not from this country? That's on you. That's not on me. Like, what? That's just crazy. It makes my body, like, react. Because it just, like, pisses me off that people think like that.
Pisses me off.
But anyway, that's the end of that story.
Sure is.
And we got another one coming right up.
My girlfriend lied about going to a show I wanted to see, so I confronted her about it.
As you should.
I'm not going to start out with the whole our relationship is perfect but thing that you always see on here. I'll admit this has been one of the hardest relationships I've been in. I still very much love her. She's beautiful, strong, driven, successful, and independent. However, my male 30 girlfriend, female 28, is a dismissive avoidant to the extreme. And it's been causing a lot of issues in our relationship. By the way, this comes from Responsible Log 5039. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
And I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, she's in therapy, but that is mostly focusing on managing her OCD and related eating disorder. She has issues expressing her emotions and needs, and struggles with communication, commitment, and compromise as a result. We've been dating a little over a year. Prior to me, her longest relationship was less than 2 months. She usually shuts down and runs from relationships if she feels smothered, if her partner lets her down, or if she feels like she's being criticized. She does recognize this, and she's trying to work on it. But it's hard on us both. Both of us are big theater nerds. A few months ago, we had a trip to a city about 2 hours from us to visit her grandparents, and I got to meet her best friends from college for the first time. While there, we went to a show with her friends. I honestly had a great time. Her grandparents love me, and I got along really well with her friends. There was another show coming up in a few months that both of us have connections to. It was the first musical she ever saw with her grandparents, and I worked on a production in high school. I asked my girlfriend if we could go. I even offered to bring her grandparents and treat them to a nice night out, or we could go with her college friends. I immediately got shut down. She said that she didn't really like that show and she didn't want to see it again. Fine, no big deal. That show was last weekend. We kind of had a fight on Saturday. I was about 15 minutes late to picking her up to hang out at a brewery, and she felt really let down. She's broken up with other people for similar reasons and gave me the silent treatment all day. Eventually, I got her to open up, we apologized to each other, and have a decent evening at home. The next morning, she says that she doesn't feel great and wants to go home to rest. I drive her home and ask if she needs me to stay with her to take care of her or anything. Nope, she just wants a quiet day to herself. I tell her to let me know if she needs anything and head home. I don't hear from her all day, even when she's relaxing. We're usually trading memes and Snapchats of our cats, but she's not even opening my messages. Earlier that week, she had a migraine so bad that I needed to take her to the emergency room. I started to get really worried that something was wrong by late afternoon. So I decided to check her location on Find My. She's not at home. She's not even in our city. She's just leaving a restaurant and walking to the theater to go see the show that I really wanted to see. I assume she was with her friends again. The restaurant is a favorite of theirs. Everything would have needed to have been planned well in advance. I'm just so hurt over everything. I really wouldn't have minded if she said she already had plans to go to the show with her friends. I just don't understand why she lied to me about not being willing to go, and why she lied to me to hide that she was going. I don't know how to bring this up to her. She's very sensitive to criticism. Even though I'm hurt, I'm not mad at her. She'll probably just take it as an attack. She also doesn't really like me expressing my feelings to her in general, and tends to shut down and withdraw. I'm worried that if I bring this up, she'll break up and leave to avoid the conversation. She's threatened to do that before on much smaller issues. I spent a lot of time thinking about what to do. I made my post on Monday. We had a date planned for Wednesday. I decided I would bring it up then. On Tuesday, she was having a bad day at work, but she didn't really let me know. She texted me about an email that her boss sent, and I thought my response was appropriately supportive. I gave a curt, "Is that all you took from that?" back from her. I was dealing with my own work issues and a migraine, so I just doubled down on my first response. She didn't respond. I didn't double text, but I did reach out via Snapchat and Instagram messages to see if she'd respond there. She didn't open any of my messages. Finally, 4 hours later, she responds with how she doesn't feel emotionally supportive and she needs some space to think about the future of our relationship. I was super confused and asked what was wrong. I got the response, "I just had a really crappy day and you didn't even bother to call me." I kind of snapped at that a little. I asked why she didn't respond to any of my messages or why she didn't say, "Hey, I had a really bad day at work and need to hear your voice," or something like that. I pointed out that she never asks me for emotional support. She just acts out until I figure out what she needs or gives me the silent treatment. I didn't respond because it wouldn't have mattered. I cannot always be the one putting in the work. I explained that I can't read her mind. She needs to communicate her needs. I understand that's hard for her, but I can't make up for that on my end. I've been saying I need more effort from you for months and nothing has changed. This is the exact argument I didn't want to have and you pushed it. I responded that I desperately wanted to support her, but she isn't giving me anything to work with. I gave her the space she asked for and told her I love her. The next day we met up at a park. It started with us both apologizing for how things have escalated. I asked her what she wanted from our relationship and what she felt she needed from me. She said that she wanted more emotional support, but couldn't tell me how I should be supporting her better. She said that this was something I would need to figure out on my own. That's something you guys can figure out together, I feel like.
Yeah, the fact that like everything is your issue, like she hasn't
Right.
said like, "Oh my god, yeah, you're right," or like anything, like hasn't agreed with one thing you said. It, like everything is an argument. Red
Right.
flag.
The fact that you have like a system down for when she's ignoring you on like other means of getting in touch with her,
Yeah, that's crazy.
really bad. She started to change the subject, which is a go-to of hers when she's uncomfortable with a conversation. We jumped around to various issues in our relationship. She randomly says that she doesn't feel like she really knows me. I ask her what she means by that. She says that she never knows what I'm thinking or feeling and I'm too closed off. She barely engaged in my interests and hobbies, rarely asked me questions about myself. On the other hand, I made all the effort to know about the things she cared for. She then brought up that we've been dating for a year, but have no plans to move in together. I had been trying to bring this up for months. She gave me different answers every time I asked her what she wanted for our future, if she didn't try to change the subject instead. She's never brought up our future on her own. I made it clear that the only reason we don't have future plans is because she doesn't seem to want to make them yet. Pointing all of this out to her made her go quiet. When things get too intense for her, she just starts to shut down and withdraw. It took a few minutes for her to come out of it. As she did, I explained that I felt I was the only one really putting effort into our relationship. She asked me what I seriously wanted. I explained that 6 years ago, I had to end an engagement to my fiance after she became a harmful heavy drinker, then spent the next few years working 80 plus hours a week at a job I hated while watching my dad slowly pass away. What I was going to say next is that after going through that, I wanted to get a job that was better for my mental health and I wanted to find my person. Instead, I got cut off. She said that maybe I started dating too soon after my dad's passing. We started dating about 9 months later. Before I could continue, she said that she just doesn't feel our communication styles are compatible. I asked her if she seriously thinks she has a good communication skills, which she said she does.
In what world?
Yeah. At this point, I am kind of just like, you guys have wildly different styles. Like, just.
Well, I feel like OP just wants to talk about it normally.
Right,
and
and
then
she does it.
Yeah, she's like, oh, wonderful weather we're having.
Yeah.
Like, he said she constantly changed the subject, which, like, obviously if you're changing the subject, it means you're avoiding.
Right.
So, like, she's
Which
avoiding
they
talking about
knew.
any of it. Yeah. So, this is like.
It's just too much, OP. You've got too many contingency plans to, like, get around her behavior.
Yeah. And also, like, why is it so bad if you guys break up? Like, you're trying
Right.
to, like, avoid that. Like, that's, like, the worst thing. But, like, honestly, I feel like you're better
This might
without.
just be the time.
Yeah.
It's not been a year yet. It's been almost a year. I finally brought up the show. I said that I know she went without me, and I explained how I know. This visibly shocked her, and she shut down again. I asked why she lied to me twice. No answer. I asked if she was cheating on me. No, she went with her college friends. She eventually confirmed that this was planned before I even asked to go. She just said that she didn't want to avoid what she felt was an uncomfortable conversation. I asked her if she felt like this was okay. Yes, she was worried that if she told the truth, I'd push her to let me go with them. I asked if I'd ever tried to pressure her into doing something that she didn't want to do. Yes, I asked to watch movies that she doesn't like over and over. I rarely got to pick what we watched, and she seems to intentionally avoid movies that are important to me. Over Christmas, I asked to watch Home Alone to continue a tradition I had with my dad. I wanted her to be there with me for support. She refused and found every way to invalidate my feelings. Have I ever pressured her outside of asking to watch a few of my favorite movies? No. I asked if I had done anything to make her feel unsafe opening up to me. No, she's just not the type to open up like that to anyone but her sister. How does she expect to have a serious relationship with someone if she won't open up to them? She feels like the right person will just make it easy for her. Does she feel like she needs to do any work on herself to be a better partner? No, because she doesn't really want to be a partner anymore. She said that our relationship was adding so much stress in her life to the point that it was affecting her job and eating disorder recovery. Where's the stress coming from? The constant obligations and me constantly asking for more from her. I brought up how much work I've put into this relationship. I chauffeured her around for 2 months while her car was in the shop, visited her in the hospital every day, and then slept on her couch and took care of her for a week while she recovered from surgery. I've paid for the vast majority of dates, given her money when she overdrew her bank account, helped her move on short notice, and always showed up for her when she asked and plenty of times when she didn't. I rarely got to plan dates or pick what movies or shows we watched due to her refusal to compromise. The few times I asked her for emotional support, even on small things like watching Home Alone with me, she refused. She didn't take any interest in my hobbies, even those we had in common. She had next to no emotional intimacy. I had constantly forgave her for blowing up at me for little things, giving me the silent treatment, lying to me, while I always admitted when I was wrong. I've been giving so much without getting anything in return. I was asking for the bare minimum. She again just said that she doesn't think our communication styles are compatible. I did let her know that I didn't want to end things, and I was still willing to work on us. I offered to get us a relationship counselor, but she refused. She was exhausted and couldn't do this anymore. At this point, I was exhausted too, and agreed to end things. She never cried or anything during the whole conversation. She just switched between being cold or looking uncomfortable. By the end, I was kind of a mess. And by the way, at the end of this episode, you can go listen to more episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. There's never-ending episodes there. We got a little bit more, but I think that needed to happen, OP. I'm sorry that it is going so rough.
Yeah, I don't know the I don't know what the attachment is to this girl. I mean, I guess because it's been 9 months, there is that, well, we've gone this far, why can't we just figure it out and keep going? But once you know when it's over, it's over, and it's really hard to kind of get out of that.
And you can hit that at any time. At least you hit that before you guys were really committed to living together, and it's not 4 or 5 years down the road and you're still having these problems.
Yeah, there's no kids involved, there's no pets, there's no, not that I know of, but I mean at least you were able to figure this part out, even though it wasn't the outcome that you wanted, but I think it's the outcome that you needed.
You tried very hard.
Yeah. I think you did everything right.
She wanted to try back. You can't control that.
Exactly.
A week or so later, I wasn't doing great. Made the mistake of getting wasted alone at home, then made the horrible mistake of trying to text her.
Oh, not the drunk text, no!
I asked if she'd thought about us and if she was willing to talk. I got hit with, "Don't contact me. It's not coming across to you, so I'm being explicit. I want nothing from you except to never hear from you or see you again. I'm blocking your number. Contact me again and I'll be getting a restraining order. Go get some help and leave me alone." I haven't been doing great. It's just been rough realizing how I hardly ever feel appreciated, valued, respected, or prioritized throughout our relationship. I realize that I've made a lot of excuses for her. Given her childhood trauma and this being her first attempt at a serious relationship, a lot of her points really felt gaslighty, and it's messed with my head. That and the constant nitpicking kind of destroyed my self-esteem. I honestly felt better after breaking things off with my ex-fiance than I do after this breakup. Oh well, guess I have a lot of work to do on myself. I'm sorry that this probably wasn't a satisfying ending, and that is the end of that story.
My father's wife faked being sick and ruined his life.
That's pretty sick.
For context, my dad, 65 male, has been married 3 times. Me, 26 female, and my siblings, Leo, 23 male, and Vanessa, 24 female, come from his first marriage. When I was 21, he married his 3rd wife, Francine, 65 female. Over the years of their marriage until this year, I always thought Francine was strange. By the way, this comes from user educationaldog6946. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
And we are here to give you good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We don't know how to fix your ruined life, always. If your wife lied about your being ill or something, I don't know. We only know what we would do, or what we would think. So if you would do or say or think something else, just put it in the comments. Let us know. Little things like not allowing our stepsister, Hannah, 18 female, to drink juice or make comments about how much she was eating when she was 12 or 13. Later, I found out Hannah was struggling as a teenager with an eating disorder. Francine never showed much interest in myself, Vanessa, or Leo. This was fine with us, since we were adults by the time she came into our lives. She was at birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, but never really gave anything more than a joint gift with our father. She would leave early from theater productions we participated in, never made it to rugby games, and only ever asked us when we are going to have children and get married. That was all she cared about. Francine always had quote-unquote health problems. She always overreacted to our perfume, shampoo, or the smell of tobacco on our clothes. My mom and grandmother, who had primary care of us, were smokers. So since they were married, me and my siblings barely ever saw my dad, in case we sent Francine into some kind of allergy shock. Her allergies were different every time we see her. Corn syrup, red dye number 5, yogurt, peanuts, the list goes on. And things I'll see her eating the next time I see her. Fast forward to this past year of 2022, Francine was quote-unquote diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in April and was given a year to live. My siblings and I made sure we supported our distraught father, who was very upset and taking the news very hard. Later that year, in December, my grandmother was also diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. For further context, I was Grandma's favorite, her favorite grandkid. We shared a bedroom for most of my life. She would babysit me when my mom needed a break, and I love to say that my grandma was my first love, the person I learned to love before I even understood how to love my parents. She meant so much to me, and she progressively and very quickly got sicker and weaker. I took a leave of absence from work to help my mom care for her on hospice until she passed away in early February of 2023. And I took the loss very, very hard. I was in therapy twice a week. The weeks after she passed, my family and I were all trying to get our lives together without our main support system. My sister went on medication for her mental health. My brother fought to get a promotion at work. And I had turned 26 that January and started mapping out my future with my long-term boyfriend, including what to do about health insurance at the end of the year when I was no longer covered by Francine's plan. Here's where I might be an a-hole. I texted Francine asking if there was a date I was going to be taken off so I could cement my plans so I was covered. She sent me a 3-paragraph essay about how she had cancer, and the only time I ever texted her was because I needed something. I told her that was true because, and I quote, "Let's face it, you are as interested in me as I am in you. You never reached out when my grandmother passed away, knowing full well my relationship with her, or when my other grandma passed away early 2022. You never ask about me or anything in my life and don't even know I'm coming up on my graduation date for nursing school or know how I'm doing in general. How dare you come at me when you haven't even checked yourself? Be an adult and admit we aren't even friends, let alone family. The phone works 2 ways, and if you wanted to have a relationship with me that bad, you should have tried when I was 21. In private, I told my siblings, my mother, friends, and boyfriend that I think she is lying about having cancer. A thought first stated by my mother, and later my boyfriend in 2 separate conversations. She claims to be allergic to the chemo and is doing coffee enemas and juice cleanses she claims are helping her cancer. Yeah, she's absolutely full of it.
That's crazy. One, nice text back, OP. That's a pretty good, you called her out. But
Yeah.
also, that's insane that she says, I can't do chemo. I'm allergic to that. But
Dude.
juice enemas and coffee enemas, boy, I feel spry and 25 again. Get all that poopy out of me. They took the cancer out of me.
That's just crazy, dude. That's just insane. It's like, you know,
Especially when you just lost one of your most beloved parts of your family to that specific type of cancer. And boy,
yeah. She claims she got surgery, but I see no scar. Not only that, but she was diagnosed with the same thing my grandmother was, and over a year later, Francine doesn't even look sick, and even took a month-long trip to upstate New York and Canada with my father in August of 2023. She sent us a photo of her and my father and looks and is acting completely healthy. I asked my siblings honestly if they think she has it, and Leo agreed that it's fishy, and Vanessa wouldn't answer either way, asking why would our dad lie to us. I pointed out that Dad seems like he never goes to the doctor appointments with Francine and just tells us what she says. And when asked further questions, he says he doesn't know or sighs and shakes his head. In recent events, Hannah has apologized to me for her mother's behavior, saying that she has no idea what her mother's issues are. Francine is currently trying to get my father and Hannah to move to upstate New York, where she stayed with family since their trip because the air is healthier for her healing process. My father and Hannah blatantly said they will not go. Am I the a-hole? And there is an author's note here. I just want to say I have no ill will towards this woman because she married my dad. I'm up in arms about it because I feel like she's manipulating my dad. All the comments about me thinking she's an evil stepmother and that I have an issue with her because she's married my dad just isn't true. My parents getting a divorce was one of the best things they ever did for me. Thinking of them being together with their differences and having heard them argue towards the end of their relationship, I would not have benefited as a child if they had stayed together. I always liked my mom's boyfriends except one guy that hurt her feelings pretty bad. And I loved my dad's second wife. I never even minded that my parents dated and saw other people. That being said, my only problem with Francine is I believe she is manipulating all of us. That maybe she is sick in her head. I made this post more to make sure that I wasn't fully insane and that her behavior is suspicious. I don't like her, not because she's married to my dad, but because her personality makes it hard to even be friendly. And none of this is about the insurance. She holds it over our heads and threatened to take myself, my siblings, and my dad off of it. And there is additional information from OP, an example of Francine's behaviors here in the comments. But yeah, I don't know. I'm calling it out. I'm calling it out.
I'd be like, hey, Dad, have you seen the doctor's results? Like, did she actually go to a doctor? Not like a specialist, like, you know, for the enemas, which is crazy. But
She doesn't go to a specialist for that. I bet she does it in her freaking bathroom. She's just shoving coffee grounds up her butt and being like, I'm cured. That's absurd.
No, I would say, because especially it's been a year or so, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit less, and she hasn't shown any signs. I would have just called your dad and be like, what, like, how's she doing? You know, what are her signs? And like, what has the doctor's been saying?
Because
And- if the dad says, oh, I've been to the doctor with her and, you know, we've seen the test results, that's one thing. But if your dad says, oh, yeah, she's been going to the doctors and she told me this from the doctor.
well, of course, it's, you know, I doubt she's even going to a doctor.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, to be clear, and I'm sorry if this is, you know, anyone who with a cancer diagnosis, you know, stay strong. And this, you know, this could be triggering to hear all this talk about cancer. But it's like stage 4 is when it's gone far throughout the body, where it's like you could have, you know, lung cancer, but now you've got cancer in your like legs, you know, wherever. Like it's moved to other parts. So the fact that this woman is being like, oh, I need to move to upstate New York for the air. It's like that's not gonna help you if you have stage 4. It's not gonna do anything. It's really realistically, it's not gonna do anything if you have stage 1. Like you have to treat this stuff, and it's ridiculous to me that your dad, you know, I would just go to my dad and be like, look, I'm just worried about this woman's ability to just like pull the wool over your eyes. She's hurting you. I don't care that you're married to her. I care that you're married to someone who is hurting you actively.
Yeah, but I feel like Dad's gonna not care. Dad's like, oh, this is my wife.
He should care.
This is my wife.
Yeah, she's lying to you about
No,
one
honey,
of the worst
respect my
things
wife.
ever.
Respect my
And
wife,
it
honey.
could be coming from a place of mental illness, but I can't imagine myself staying with somebody who could do this to me. I just can't.
What do you know? You're just a kid.
OP says, I want to add this story as well about Francine. Our first Thanksgiving together, Francine left in a rage because she made us go around the table and say what we were thankful for. My brother said that I live in a safe place, and my sister said, for my family. I said, for my friends. Francine took that as a jab at her and left, saying, well, I guess I'm not welcome here. And I guess I'm not your family because you don't want to love with me. We were all genuinely confused, and when she came back, Vanessa told her outright she was crazy for thinking it was a jab at her, and it had nothing to do with her. Francine is bat shice crazy. I swear to God. There's more relevant comments here. Comment 1 says, I don't think you're the a-hole for answering Francine like you did, but I would lay off of accusing her to other people of lying about her lung cancer. OP says, that's fair, but please know it wasn't just my thought that came from nowhere. There are lots that don't line up, and I do hear what you're saying. Francine undergoing any treatments? OP says, Francine isn't undergoing any kind of treatment and said she was allergic to chemo, so I assumed she would have left us by now. Apparently, a holistic doctor told her she could cure it with enemas and a juice cleanse. I don't know. I just think a lot of stuff she's telling us doesn't line up, and I get the sense that my dad doesn't even fully know either. I'll keep you and your comments in mind while I process a lot of this. And I have seen alternative medicine work, or like alternative practice. Like, it was a friend, one of my friend's aunts. And it wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to drink juice. It was like complete dietary change, very strict like regimen of like certain vitamins. It was like, you know, like a whole, it was
overall,
a whole shebang.
It was a complete overall of like your life, pretty
Right.
much.
And it did. And it, she went into remission and she was cancer free. And I believe, you know, she was in remission for quite a while and it did end up coming back. But it's like, you can get that same exact result with traditional cancer treatment. You can even get results where, you know, people be like, oh, that doesn't work. It's like, there's also times where like, you know, you're not receptive to chemo. It's like, it truly is not like a one size fits all solution. But regardless, it's like this, I don't think this person is, I don't think she's telling the truth.
Until, I was gonna say, until OP can, on both ends, until it can be proven 110% that she either A, has it or doesn't have it, we can't just be like assuming. We can't just be like, I mean, it makes a lot of sense if you line it up with OP's facts, but you can't just be like, she doesn't have it or she does have it. It's just like, once I need proof, I need data, I need all that proof, which sucks, but especially with her with all the allergies and everything, I wouldn't take that. I would take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. There's a downvoted commenter here. You're 26 years old, and on top of letting Daddy and Francine pay for your cell phone and health insurance this whole time, you're only getting your own policy now because you've hit the age limit. You're something else.
What?
What an idiot. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What?
Opie says, I'm on my own phone plan. When I wasn't, my dad actually talked me into staying on it because I was in school and they got a discount because I'm a student. And the reason why I'm on the insurance is because A, I can because my daddy likes knowing I'm covered. And B, because it'll cost me 3/4 of my monthly income to get my own. I'm getting my own now because yes, the clock has struck, but can I afford it and finish school? I don't know. I might be out of luck. Francine holding my insurance is the only amount of support she's shown me. I don't know if you know this, but it takes more than that to have a relationship with someone. Another commenter says, follow the money. In my opinion, not the a-hole to call her out if you see shady things happening with finances or really anything that can cause material impact to your father. Talk to Dad about the will, any trusts, any changes to estate, etc. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother giving her that energy. Opie says, I never thought about all that. I'm going to ask my sister to ask him about it since they're closer. Third commenter says, so you're in nursing school, but I guess that chapter wasn't in the exams. So you never bothered. The combination of foods can give you an allergic reaction, or even things you've had for years can suddenly do that due to a compromised immune system or a system in overdrive or a new component in the item. Another chapter you missed, unless you have chemo, you don't necessarily look bad even with lung cancer. I think your story is BS. She had a kid at 46 or 47. Let's pretend that is true. I guess that you also missed the chapter where women after pregnancy can be led with a lot of health issues, especially a much older woman. She gets it from giving a joint gift with your father. That's what married couples do. From your description, I'd say she's an old lady with a compromised immune system and possibly hypochondriac, but definitely autistic. She has you in her health insurance, saving you thousands, yet you call your mom and grandma your only support system. What do you expect a stranger, paraphrasing from you, to do? She's not your friend, she's not your family, but hey, let's save tens of thousands on her back. You know what? This is the only country in the world, I think, where people are so weird about health insurance, where it's like a personal failing if you're not willing to buy into a busted system that makes no sense.
We don't know if OP's from the States, but
they
we got
are.
New York. We got New York.
They are. And it's like, because this is like the only place where that's a thing.
It's really bad.
It's crazy. And it's crazy that people are brainwashed into thinking you're a bag for not wanting to immediately just like drop a fourth or a third or half of your paycheck every month
The failed
for
system.
freaking yeah. It's insane. Add to the fact that yeah, she is not interested in you. Gosh, I wonder why. You sound like a dream stepdaughter. And yeah, she's not going to put herself into a position of having to deal with you longer than she has to. I feel like this is coming from a triggered stepmother. You're all effing adults, and she gets guff from you from coming to your rugby match but not staying for the whole duration of it. You're the a-hole. Of course, she can be exaggerating. Of course, she could be making the whole thing about herself. But even if she's pretending about the whole cancer thing, everyone sucks here. You're not innocent or nice. You're not innocent or nice. Even if she's passing away, she's not going to accept you suddenly driving her to her doctor's appointment. She is only good enough for you when you need something, and she needs nothing from you. OP says, I'm not that far in my schooling yet. When I said I had a graduation date, it was my projected plan. Yes, she had a kid that late. Nothing like Reddit to diagnose my dad's wife with autism. What a weird thing to say. Here's the thing. She's never acted like my family. There are things in addition to theater, matches, and gifts that prove that. For example, later, when I tell her, she never talks to me. Since this happened in February, I haven't spoken to her. I'm sorry, but I don't owe her anything when my dad had us be put on the insurance, a thing she threatens him with. Whenever she gets upset, she threatens to take all of us, including him, off of the plan as part of his child support. He got to pay my mom less by getting us health insurance. Again, I'm not bothered she wasn't interested in me because, like I said, I wasn't interested in her as well. A lot of the examples I gave were just that, examples. I can give examples of myself not being interested in her either. As for the support system comment, I never said my dad isn't supportive or that Francine isn't supportive in other ways. Just uninterested in me as a person to the point where the only thing we have in common or know about each other is on an insurance card. My grandmother was my A1 since day one and acted as a second mother to me. That's what I meant when I said main support system. Main doesn't mean only. Francine, again, only cares if I'm having a baby and when. It's literally the only thing she asks me. Anything else, all of these other examples are things she never asks me about. I return the energy, so I don't ask her either. The fact that she freaked out on me as if we had this lifelong connection made me freak the F out on her the way I did. I don't know why people keep calling her my stepmom when I blatantly made the distinction she is my dad's wife. There are a lot of step-parents in these comments that are mad at me about this post. LMAO. Yeah, that's exactly it. Bunch of triggered step-parents. And it's, whatever. Honestly, this is why half the time when I'm on the internet and I see a comment I want to reply to, I'm just like, there's no reason to even reply.
Don't
There's
put
no
the
need.
energy out there, yeah.
Don't need to.
You don't deserve my energy.
Unless it's funny, and unless it's just a goof, there's no need to reply. It's not serious.
The only time I like replying to comments is if I have the whole fact of shutting them up. Like, oh, this guy is talking about the Philippines. He's not Filipino. You're like,
let's get into this update. Oh boy, it's been a long time, and I went back and read some comments on my original post. I'll give y'all the short version of what's happened in the last year. To keep it short, she lied. My dad and her had an ugly divorce that ended with my father being homeless. Francine winded up revealing that she owed over $60,000 to her ex in alimony, and he was taking the house where her, my father, and sister were living. The week of Thanksgiving last year, she booted them both out, and they were both homeless up until August of this year. Before anyone asks, no, I didn't have the means to help them. The entire thing was crazy. She broke off the key in the lock to stop them from getting their things, stole a bunch of money from my dad, and bought a house in New York, destroying my dad's credit, and so many other petty and disgusting things. Yet she is still alive, and yes, she was questioned about her illness, but she's fine. My dad, realizing everything was a lie, was very upsetting to watch. In my opinion, she destroyed his life. By the way, it won't destroy you to listen to full episodes with stories like this. Just go to your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and search OK Storytime, and you too can listen to a bunch of insane crap like this.
there is a special place for people who, one, lie about the big C, and two, who do this to can do this to anybody and just live their life. That is insane. There's a special place for them.
I would hope it's prison. Can we just institute a new island like where people used to get shipped when they had leprosy? Just an island of people like this woman.
You mean Australia?
Just no, just a straight up like we can build an island like how China's been building all those islands so that they can like take claim over like certain territory. But we can just build an island and have all of the just awful people live on that island together.
I'm not wrong about that, right? Like they sent a lot of like lepers, but also
I know that the British Empire sent people
That's
who
what they did with
were
Australia.
criminals to
They
Australia.
sent just a lot of people that they like not fit for
Yeah, they were just like, we're sending you to Australia to serve out your sentence.
survive the wildlife.
And then I think yeah, essentially they were just like, yeah, whatever, just stay there forever. We don't
And
care.
those people were like, we're hardcore. We tamed the animals.
So to everyone who said I was the a-hole, suck wee wee. I have officially started my clinicals and hope to wind up in peds oncology after graduation. I think about my grandmother all the time and wish she was alive to talk to her about everything. Comment 1 says, you can't just be booted out of where you legally live. OP replies, Francine's name and her exes were the ones on the papers for the house. Ooh, so she actually didn't break any laws. Dang. Comment 2 says, as someone who has been in the cancer world from the time I was 16, I'm 27 at the end of the month, going into pediatric oncology is amazing. My nurses were some of the only people who kept me sane during my long stays, and I could never thank them enough. I actually named my service dog after my favorite nurse, who would come in early to snag my chart from whoever was on my night shift. That said, in regards to everything else, I'm so sorry. Is there anything your father can do legally against Francine, like prove she prevented him from obtaining his property and then the theft? OP says, I am genuinely very excited about my career. Comment 3 says, your father chose this woman over his own kids. It's pretty clear what kind of man he is. He's getting exactly what he deserves. I have no sympathy for him. What's up with all these just like awful comments?
People are just very black and white today, where it's just like one or the other. What are we calling out dad for?
I mean, like I said, if he had found out she was lying and didn't divorce her, then I would have a problem.
He probably got it all at the same time.
Is OP's father taking his ex to court? OP says, for what I heard, he is. Taking her to court and taking her crap is why she fled the state and got crap under my dad's name. And that is the end of that story.
Called me a liar and then blocked me instead of breaking up.
Oh, let's get some burn and sage to get rid of all the ghosts in here.
I, 29 male, met someone, male 33, earlier this year in January, while I was still in a 3-year relationship that was falling apart.
Whoa.
Things between me and my then partner were unbearable, and I knew it was only a matter of time before it ended. This new guy appeared out of nowhere. Light, charismatic, just through social media at first. But he quickly started taking up a lot of space in my thoughts. By the way, this comes from Far Cherry. And if you want to some of your own stories, you know where to go. Go there. I'm not even going to play it. You already know where it is. I'm Riley.
I'm Angie.
And we're here to give good advice goofily. We don't know what we're talking about. If you got something to say it in the comments. I want to read them. So OP says, even though he knew I was still in a relationship, he flirted with me. And I didn't stop him.
Uh-oh.
There was something different about him. Maybe it was because I already wanted to start over. I live in Rio, and in May, while visiting my family in Sao Paulo, I decided to meet him in person for the first time. It was intense right away.
Boy.
I mean, hey, I know how someone from South America told me if they look at someone for too long, they're gonna do it.
Like with that person.
Yeah,
They,
if you keep staring at me, we gotta find a
you're
hotel.
like, we gotta get a little closer.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall in love with you. A mix of curiosity, desire, and that feeling that something new was finally opening up after
Start
being
something new.
stuck for so long. A month later in June, my previous relationship ended in a traumatic way. I had to make my ex move out. We lived together, and things kind of spiraled out of control. We both were deeply hurt. It was just emotionally exhausting. Soon after that, I started a new treatment for depression and a possible bipolar disorder evaluation, because in the months before the breakup, I'd been acting impulsively, which made my ex feel unsafe. Now I've had to increase my antidepressant dose. I take mood stabilizers, lithium, I'm in therapy twice a week, and I spent a good part of my income just trying to keep my mind steady. The new guy saw all of it. He saw my ups and downs, my exhaustion, my effort to function despite everything. Between May and July, I traveled from Rio to Sao Paulo 3 more times to just see him. He was trying to get his career going, full of creative ideas, but without much stability. He was charming, smart, and somehow seemed like he needed care. I got quickly attached, believing we were building something meaningful. A shared passion for the arts, theater, film, culture brought us closer together. In August, he traveled to another state to shoot his own short film. When he came back, even though we talked often by video, I could sense something had changed. Our conversations became more tense, and he started showing signs of mistrust that hadn't been there before. He began noticing if I took longer to reply or if something seemed different. He said it was a concern, but it felt like suspicion. In early September, I went to Sao Paulo to see him again. On the day of the trip, he started questioning how I'd picked up my medication at the public clinic, implying that I might be lying. Conversation, which began light, turned into an interrogation. I tried to explain, but I felt uncomfortable, like I had to justify myself for everything. Then, during the bus ride, he decided to have a long text argument. He asked if I had Wi-Fi, saying he wanted to clear things up and avoid bad vibes. I said yes. He went back and forth saying he didn't want to talk to avoid saying something stupid, and then changed his mind and said he needed to say it or it would eat him up. I think he cheated.
What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
He cheated.
If he's so suspicious that OP is like being untruthful and being untrustworthy out of nowhere, I mean, we've read enough stories. I know every situation isn't the same, but like it 10 times out of 10, if that happens in these stories, it's because they're cheating. The ones accusing are cheating. So
that's when he sent a long message saying he wanted to build trust between us, but had noticed changes in my behavior. He said I'd been more defensive lately, and that made him suspicious. He mentioned that I used to send him spontaneous photos at the movies, with my grandma, at the clinic, and that not doing so that week made him think I was hiding something. He said he'd question me whenever it felt necessary, because to him, that was honesty. He also talked about subtext, that he could tell from my tone or choice of words when something felt off. Reading that on the bus, I felt my chest tighten. I was exhausted, trying to relax, and suddenly had to write a long message defending myself. I answered calmly, admitted I'd once told a small lie about going out, apologized again, but explained that I didn't want a relationship built on suspicion. I told him how much I needed peace and stability after everything I'd been through, and that I was in treatment, still emotionally fragile, trying to get better. Ugh. OP.
jeez.
He replied saying he understood, that he was only pointing out a change in behavior and wasn't actually demanding anything. While OP is figuring out if they have bipolar, which I'm going to tell you right now, if you got bipolar, your behavior is going to be changing moment to moment.
Yeah, I mean, if like I doubt it would like change anymore now that it's diagnosed, but it's like still. Like,
Yeah,
well, it's something to understand.
It's a variable.
Yeah.
And this guy's asking, you got to change this. You got to stop doing it.
Yeah.
OP's figuring out their life. They just got through something very traumatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said before, I think it's just good to do a little solo time.
I agree.
He said the photos were just an example, that he could read subtext in my words, and he wanted us to move on. He apologized if he hurt me and said he wanted to have a good weekend together, and even joked about cleansing our energy. The conversation ended on a seemingly positive note, laughter, light promises, but I arrived and felt uneasy as if I had tried to defend myself for something I had done. It was one of those talks that sound harmless, but leave a strange weight in the air. That weekend seemed fine. We went out, enjoyed the city, and I noticed some distance, physically and emotionally. Then on Monday night, when I needed to leave because he lived with his roommates and couldn't host me during the week, he brought up jealousy again. Out of nowhere, he asked if I was seeing the friends I'd been staying with. That single question carried every doubt and tension that had been building for weeks. I tried to stay calm, but he started raising his voice and repeating past arguments that we had supposedly resolved. He called me a liar, said I had omitted things or contradicted myself, things that only existed in his head. The moment I heard the word liar, my body froze.
Jeez. Jeez,
It was
dude.
building.
This is just the type of person where it's like you can't even
Yeah.
try to change their mind.
My heart raced. My hands shook. That same anxious feeling of being trapped in an unsafe space. I grabbed my things, my suitcase, clothes, and said I couldn't have a real conversation in that state when all he wanted was to be right. I said thank you, genuinely, for the hospitality, even though it hurt, and left. No looking back. That same night, he texted saying he could mail me items I left behind. My shampoo, soap, conditioner. I left them in the bathroom. I replied that he could keep them. I didn't block him, just needed to protect myself.
Yeah.
The next morning, I saw I had been blocked on everything.
Good, honestly.
What? Dude, people in this generation nowadays, I'm going to block you.
Just go be block you. And if you're gone on the internet, you're gone in real life. It's crazy.
It is wild. It's been a month and 2 weeks now. He seems fine, working again, joined new creative projects, and posting updates online. A mutual friend told me
Okay.
he still speaks of me kindly, and that he's trying to get his life together in Sao Paulo. I'm glad for him, but I still feel a mix of anger and longing. Anger because I was transparent, willing, and got silence in return, because he saw me struggling with treatment, depression, and all the effort I was making just to stay afloat, and still chose pride. The longing hurts more. Deep down, I know we wouldn't have worked out unless I'd moved to a city, and the love got lost in between mistrust and his inability to manage his own insecurity. Sometimes I blame myself too, because depression makes me feel stuck, incapable of expressing things the right way.
Interesting.
Right now, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, search up OK Storytime for more stories like this on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Got a little bit left here.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is for the best.
I totally agree. Good, cool that he's not, speaking poorly of you behind your back.
That's nice.
That's nice.
Applause.
Yeah, but I'm just glad that you're out of there. That's not something you want to deal with.
You just got out of a jail cell. No need to get into another one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's
Unless you
really what
like
this is
it.
going to turn into. Oh,
You like that, OP? Huh? I bet you do.
don't like it.
Anyways, I think about him every day, but differently now. I don't want to go back. I don't even want to talk to him. I just wish he had the courage to say something. Anything. How do I process this type of ending when there was no closure or clear breakup? How do I stop overthinking what happened and move forward without feeling the need to understand his silence? People find closures in different ways. I found it by moving to LA.
Yeah, that like closure. I feel like you always think that it's like, oh, you need to talk about it with that person. That's closure. It's like, I feel like that's not really the case in relationships. Like in maybe familial relationships or friend relationships, if you're gonna get closure about an argument or something like that, then
Okay.
yeah, like you want to talk about it because I'm assuming you want to keep that relationship.
Yeah.
But in like a romantic relationship, when you break up and it's like a messy breakup, and
It's sadly in the way
there's-
of processing it.
yeah, you really do have to act like that person isn't there, because I mean the problem, especially in this situation, it started from not even a lack of communication, but just like incompatible communication. Like you're trying to talk to each other and you just don't agree with each other.
Yeah.
And there's not really anything else to talk about. You just disagree. We need to just leave it at that and move away.
Yeah.
If you have problems with dealing with it and moving on, then that's something that you have to work on yourself. That you're not gonna, nothing's gonna change by talking to that person again. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
My best friend lied to me, and I think it's because of her fiance.
What did her fiance do?
My 23 female best friend from middle school, 25 female, has been acting a little strange lately. For backstory, post high school, we went to different colleges, and she stayed in the area, whereas I moved to a bigger city in our state in order to go to the college that I was attending. We have both graduated since and have jobs. I just graduated this year, and I
personally really hit my stride once I found a great group of friends in college. By the way, this comes from Wisdom Seeker 0, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We're just going to guess what we would do in this situation, but let us know what you would do in the comments. So, OP says, I used to be a very isolated person, but I forced myself to start doing things with my friend group since I knew it would be great for my mental health. I love my friends, and I'm a much more outgoing person because of them. I came out of my shell a lot, but at the end of the day, I am still the same person from high school, just with some more confidence. My friend has also had some big changes in her life. She also found a friend group in college, though it doesn't seem like she hung out with them as much or to the extent that I do with my friends. She also has a fiance now, someone who I've met on a couple of occasions. This guy was her very first boyfriend. She didn't start dating until she was around 22 or 23. He's about 3 years older than her and has some major family issues, something that I always saw as a red flag since my friend is a very family-oriented person. I couldn't see that being something that she would want in a partner. I expressed this to her when they first started dating when she was ranting to me about his family. However, since then, she seems very happy with him and I haven't said anything about it since. I still feel a little bit off about the guy for some reason, but it's just a weird gut feeling at the end of the day. He has never done anything that would make me think he's a bad person. It just sounds like he doesn't have the best family, which is not his fault at all. To me, my friend is still the same person, just with different stressors in life. She's always been a very introverted person, but would come out of her shell to do fun things with me that she would otherwise not do by herself. I would imagine she has also come out of her shell to do fun things with her fiance too, as I know she has traveled with him to his home state a few times, just the two of them. We always made it a priority to hang out at an event we would always go to together, which happens once a year in our hometown. We have not missed a year as far as I know, and this summer was no exception. I always have such a fun time hanging out with her, and I feel that she has a good time as well. I told her that she should come to my college town. I now live in the area since I love the community so much, and hang out with my friends sometime. She would always tell me that she would want to sometimes, but I always heard a slight bit of hesitation in her voice. I'm not sure if it's because she doesn't think she'd like my friends or is too nervous to meet them. My friends are a lot of fun to hang out with at the bar, and when mentioning this to her, I could sense that that was not something that she wanted to do. I also told her sometimes we hang out at a random friend's house, have fun, play games, and with that, I sensed less hesitation from her. I just don't think she's into the bars. At the event we went to this year, she also said we should hang out anytime I'm in town, and we have done so once since then. I feel like I'm always the one making plans, but it has always been that way in our friendship. Okay, so now on to the story. I mentioned to my friend that we should go to a football game together this year at my college. She seemed to actually be really into the idea. Her father graduated from the same school I went to. She also mentioned that maybe he would like to go as well. And I, of course, said that he is more than welcome to join us, and any of her other family that would want to go as well. I always have a lot of fun hanging out with her family. She said she would love to go, and that it sounds like a super fun idea. I texted her the details about games that were coming up, and she would always tell me that she would get back with me on which game she could go to, but never got back to me. I sent a text reminding her, and she again said that she would get back to me. However, still nothing. My mom was planning on going to the big rivalry game my college was hosting, as we usually go together, and it's been a tradition for the past 2 years. However, my dad's heart surgery was scheduled for the day before the game, yikes, and my mom decided that she didn't want to go since she wanted to take care of my dad. Totally makes sense. My dad has had heart surgery in the past, but this one was a very minor procedure, so it wasn't anything super serious that I felt that I needed to be around to help. My mom did feel bad, though, that we couldn't do our tradition this year and offered to pay for me and my best friend to go. I was so excited to tell my friend. For context, she did not know about my dad's heart procedure. I had a big plan in my head of how the day would go and how perfect it would be. I had some friends that were tailgating, and I would have loved to introduce them to my best friend. I texted her that my mom would pay for our tickets to go and asked if she had anything planned for that day that could interfere with her going. She told me that she doesn't like going to places with big crowds anymore and that she would have to decline my offer. My jaw hit the floor when I saw her message. We used to go to concerts in massive venues together as recently as 3 years ago.
3 years is a long time.
That's true.
I'm just kind of like, is this person your best friend?
That's what I'm feeling
Like, I think
too.
she might be yours.
Right? Yeah. Because I'm kind of wondering, like, okay, well, if they went to different colleges,
I feel like she moved on.
Yeah, like maybe she moved on. I was wondering if like maybe something happened where like she has a bad relationship with alcohol or something, or like something happened where she doesn't like big crowds anymore. But at the same time, like they have had like a yearly tradition, so that at least there's hanging out once a year,
Right.
doing that like music festival or whatever they went to.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the other friend is just not as committed as OP is.
It's unfortunate.
Sorry, girl. I didn't push it and basically said that I understood. And she told me that I should go with someone who would enjoy themselves more. I didn't really know what to respond to that with. I said I might tailgate, but we'll see what I could do. All of my college friends already had plans since it's the big rivalry game, so I had no one to go with. I was planning on getting a ticket and going by myself, but it ended up being a night game, and I always feel nervous going out alone as a woman at night. I ended up coming home to watch the game with my parents. It was fun, but I was really sad that I couldn't have been there at the game. I am 99% positive that my friend is lying to me and that there was a different reason as to why she couldn't come or why she didn't want to come. I have a few theories as to what could have happened. I have them listed below from least likely to most likely. Fiancé is making choices for her, perhaps. This one, I don't believe is the most likely, and I hope to God it's not happening. There was a weird instance where at one of the times my friend and I hung out, he started calling her phone and asking where she was. She told him that she was hanging out with me. She was confused and shortly after ended the call. We ended up going to a location to eat food, and he ended up showing up as a, quote, surprise to my friend. At the time, the situation didn't feel weird, but looking back, maybe it was a red flag. I am also personally a big believer that someone's first relationship usually is not their last one. With my friend already being engaged in her first ever relationship, I just hope that she's not rushing into things. I know far too many people who get divorced after they marry their first relationship and first love. I do know sometimes these relationships can work out, and I really hope my friend is one of those cases if she does end up marrying him. Another reason would be, for some reason, she doesn't want to come down to my college town as she has hesitated in the past. Maybe she knew there was a chance that she could meet one of my friends. Maybe she just doesn't feel comfortable in a place that I'm really familiar with. This one doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. Another reason could be that she had other plans and didn't want to tell me the real reason. She also might have not wanted to go to the game without a quote adult. What? This to me is the most likely reason. We have gone to a few concerts before, but we have always had one of our parents there with us as we had gone to big cities we are not familiar with. But we're in our 20s now, and we were going to a stadium that I've been to before and going to a campus that I went to every day for years. It's not like we need an adult with us at all times to go and have fun at a football game. Yeah, you guys aren't children. But is this why she wanted to bring her dad? So we could have a, quote, adult with us for some reason? And I have a reason that you could be listening to full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. It's because it's just so easy. You just look up
So
OK
cool.
Storytime and then you're good.
It's that easy, guys.
We've got probably like up to 80 days worth of content now. 80
Easily.
full days. That's another reason. Rank those least likely to most likely.
Yeah.
I'll let you have your judgment on that. But there is a little bit more to the story, but
I'm just overall a little confused by this one. Like, it kind of feels like you guys
Yeah.
just drifted, and it is
Yeah.
always unfortunate and really sad.
yeah.
I'm just kind of like, this is weird. I feel like
Yeah.
it's the fiance.
I feel like that definitely could be a factor, but
And
we
I'm
just simply
worried.
don't have enough info. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think more than anything, they probably have just drifted. And I mean, like you said, you have a good solid friend group that you found in college. She has a solid friend group that she found in college. I think that it's just kind of, they maybe didn't have time to water your relationship a bit, and focus on that. But there is a little bit more to the story.
Let's hear it.
If anyone could shed light onto the situation, I would be very thankful. I've talked to both my college friends and parents about the situation, and they both agree that it's very weird that she likely lied to me. Why would she tell me that she'd love to go to a game and then switch up on me a month later? I'm angry, but mostly really sad that she didn't want to go and that she probably lied to me about her reasoning. I'm not sure about the next time I will see her in person, but when I do, or if she brings it up in text, I will give you guys an update. I'm just having a hard time wrapping my head around this situation. And unfortunately, we don't get that update.
Wow. My father's mistress said my son isn't real family, and I finally snapped.
Get away from us, mistress.
2 to 3 years ago, my 24 female father cheated on my mom with a dumb idiot. Affectionate nickname. She knew very well that my father was married and didn't care. My brothers and I have little contact with my father. We would have no contact at all if it were up to us, but unfortunately we see him and his affair partner and girlfriend at family gatherings. By the way, this comes from Deleted, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, 1 year ago, I adopted a baby from one of my neighbors. She's a regular user. She's a woman who had over 10 children and gave away half of her children, and others are even in jail for awful things. My grandma usually helps her with food and other things. When she had the baby, she used to leave him at my grandmother's house for days, and I took care of him since he was 1 week old. I'm in the process of adopting my son legally since his mother literally told me that she didn't want him because she's pregnant again.
Oh my gosh.
It's a really sad and sensitive topic in the family, but we all love my baby. My father's affair partner has a 5-year-old son. Don't worry, I'm totally sure he's not my father's son. The kid has a father. And she's totally jealous that my whole family loves my son. She always makes weird comments about him or brings the topic about his bio mother and doesn't even say I'm his mother. We're all kind with her son because he's just an innocent kid. My baby even plays with him, but she always looks for the opportunity to make a passive-aggressive comment, or she wants to be included with family plans, but my siblings always tell her that she's not invited to anything. Yesterday, we were celebrating my grandmother's birthday, and she started saying she wanted a picture with her youngest grandson, my baby. But my father's affair partner came over with her son for the photo. We all felt uncomfortable, but my grandma took the picture with the kid to not make him feel bad. When the kids were playing in the other room, my grandma told affair partner that her son is not her grandson, and that she shouldn't make him believe that. To which the affair partner got defensive, saying that my baby's not a part of the family either, and her son is like a son to my father now, so her son has more rights than my baby. I got mad and told her to shut the F up, that I don't like her. I'm part of the family, so my baby is family too, no matter how hard she tries. She will never be part of the family because in everyone's eyes, she's just my father's witch until he gets bored. And the family only invited her out of kindness, so my father can shut the F up and stop being a pain in the butt, so she should just shut her mouth. She started to cry, and my father yelled at me and my grandma. Now I feel bad because my grandmother and my father are angry with each other after she spent a long time not wanting to see him after the affair happened because my mother is like a second daughter to her. They started talking again after my grandpa had health issues. Update. I forgot to clarify in the first post that my father takes his girlfriend to family gatherings to annoy my mother.
What an a-hole.
He had made a big fuss saying that if my mother's still invited to family gatherings, then he could bring his girlfriend. We gave in so that my grandfather would have all his children present on those occasions. My family was too kind with them for my grandpa until now, even if he's done too many bad things lately. My siblings and I only saw him at family gatherings, but we didn't talk to him at all for years until my grandfather got sick, which wasn't too long ago. Now we'll just cut off all contact with my father as we've always wanted.
Good.
By the way, the day all that happened, my mother wasn't there, and when she found out, it was the first time in years that I saw her on the phone with my father, just to yell at him that he's an idiot and doesn't want him or his girlfriend near my grandson, or near
Good.
her grandson.
Good.
And the next time his girlfriend does any other comment like that, my mother is going to expose them on Facebook. Kinda boomer for her, but it really was cute. I cried a little because my son receives too much love from the family. Even my aunts made posts with my baby after what my affair partner said about him. I talked with my father and he apologized for not defending my son's place in the family, but then he told me that his affair partner would only apologize if I apologized first to her. To what I told him that I have nothing to apologize for. She needs to apologize to my baby first. He got annoyed and said, then she's not going to apologize at all. You made her cry. And I said, fine, then I don't want her apologies.
I'm sorry. You made me cry so much more because you cheated on mom and you left her with that mistress.
I asked him to delete all the photos he has with my son because the way he sided with his affair partner just shows that he doesn't see my baby as part of the family. He got upset and tried to start another argument. He started saying that my brothers don't talk with him, so I should be kind to him. But I hung up on the call and made him delete the pictures.
Good job, OP.
My brothers don't talk to him at all, and I'm the only one who has a bit of dialogue because my baby or my grandpa, so he's always taken advantage of that, but not anymore. My grandmother explained the situation to my grandfather, and he got upset with my grandmother and uncles for not telling him what was going on. His health is complicated, and the doctor told us not to stress him out, but he knew that something was happening. He knows that my father cheated on my mother, but we made him believe that everything was fine now so that he wouldn't get stressed. Grandpa just said to my grandmother, "Don't you think it was much simpler not to invite him and tell me the truth?" And he said, "Just stop inviting my father to family gatherings so he learns his lesson."
Good.
The moral of all of this is that if we talked about the situation with my grandfather earlier and didn't treat him like a baby, like he said, all of this would have been solved much sooner, and we wouldn't have had to deal with my father and his affair partner for so long. Because even if my grandpa wanted the family together, he didn't think twice before cutting his son again from the family. Grandpa even said he's sleeping through most of those gatherings anyway. True. While I would like my son to grow up knowing he has a grandfather, I always knew that my father is not the example I want to set for my son of what a man should be. So I will cut all contact with him now that I finally have the chance. Because that's what I wanted to do all this time and couldn't. Right now, my son has a large family that adores him. Even his biological middle sister, who often visits him. By the way, in the previous post, a lot of people didn't understand that the main problem was a grown woman fighting and making passive-aggressive comments to a literal baby. She can say my son isn't my son just because he doesn't have blood, but I can't tell her she's a witch. She can be a bad person, but I have to be Mother Teresa. I'm not going to stay silent and respectful when someone attacks me or someone I love. I was always the mature person of the situation, and I let her fight alone. I have a spine, but I also have class and pride to fall into her provocations. I wasn't going to make a tantrum for every stupid comment she made. I just let her bury herself. But we all have a limit, and my limit was that she messed with my baby directly. When people fight, they say hurtful things on purpose. I wasn't going to call her beautiful and read a Twitter thread about empathy and sisterhood to her when I was angry because she was literally saying that my kid isn't part of the family. If she wants to be part of the family, she should shut her mouth and behave like an adult woman. And by the way, you guys can be part of this family by listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. Search up OK Storytime. We have just a little bit left. Any final thoughts?
This is all good. You're finally cutting off the toxic father, toxic affair partner. They're not worth it. It sucks for that kid. Their kid.
Yeah, I can really appreciate that you guys really tried to maintain the peace for Grandpa. Like, that's a very wholesome thing.
Even Grandpa's like, why do we deal with it?
I know,
Everyone's stressed out by them.
And I'm so happy that, like, as soon as you told him, he was just like, screw you guys for treating me like a baby. Get him out of here.
Yeah. Goo goo gaga. Bye-bye.
He's like, get him out of here. A lot of people identified with my father or with the mistress, so know that there is no sweet ending to something that started rotten, and what you don't pay in life, you pay after passing. My father can be happy with his girlfriend or whoever. They can be a family, but that's his family. Because he's not part of his first family anymore. We don't care. P.S. My grandma didn't talk to my father to tell him he's not invited anymore. But I'd rather not ask about that. My father's affair partner isn't going to bother anymore. She's not the villain of a movie who wants to take my family's non-existent inheritance. She's just a dumb girl. That's the end of that story.
Your dad is just a dumb guy.
Together they make one big happy dumb family.
Yeah, I feel bad for that kid, for theirs, but that is on them truly.
Yeah.
Especially if they want to be toxic and think they can do whatever they want.
Yes. But that's the end of that story.
My coworker gifted me an expired product, so I threw it away.
Maybe it was still good to eat, perhaps?
I, 26 female, signed up for Secret Santa at work, this meaning it was voluntary. I work at a daycare with all women. I'm a float at work, which means I go to whichever classroom I'm needed in. So I worked with every teacher, and as far as I know, don't have any issues with anyone. By the way, this comes from Wide Guest 433, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Riley.
And I'm Vincent.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, the Secret Santa had a $20 limit, and we all filled out sheets of our interests, things like our scents, snacks, and hobbies. I gifted my person a 6-pack of her favorite soda, and all 3 of her favorite snacks. I received a bottle of shampoo and unscented deodorant. Are they trying to tell you something?
Not gonna lie, that's a whack
Unscented?
gift, man.
That is crazy. I'm sorry. What? I looked up the products to see if there was something special about them. I guess the deodorant is decent, but the shampoo is no longer in production or sold. From what I've deduced, it was items she had sitting in her cabinet that she no longer wanted. I could understand if it weren't voluntary, but she knew what she signed up for and put no effort into it. I'm not even sure which coworker it was because we never revealed our people, nor do I want to know. You never revealed your people for Secret Santa? Do you guys even know how to play Secret Santa? What do you mean you never revealed them? That's the whole point.
I really did think that you don't let other people know after Secret Santa.
No, you at the end when you do the gift exchange. That's when everyone finds out.
Why not just open the gift and then know after that?
Yeah, that's it.
You have to give it to. So I got you something. I give it to you, and then you're like, "Oh, it was you this
It's
whole
you,
time."
yeah.
Haha. That what? No, I don't like that.
Or I mean, you can also play it the way where you try and figure it out.
That's what I like that version.
Yeah, but either way, you're gonna find out who it is. You don't just not find out.
better. Okay.
Doesn't make any sense.
Someone is lazy. Ooh, awesome, Ashley. Good catch.
I don't want the items. I can't use them because I have allergies and dandruff, and I have to use specific products. So, would I be the a-hole if I left them at the front desk at work with a note that says free to take? I mean, that's basically what she did. And we've got some relevant comments, but what do you think?
Lazy.
Well, would OP be the a-hole if they did that?
I don't know. You just gotta match their freak.
Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, you do not know this coworker's situation. She may have given you the best she had and couldn't afford more. I had wonderful Christmas presents planned this year for family. Hot water heater went out. I needed a new one, plus insurance deductible, and no presents are being bought except for the 4 children. Small, inexpensive things. Be grateful someone took effort to gift you. I'm sure the soda and snacks were appreciated by your coworkers. Commenter 2 says, if you can't afford to give a thoughtful gift, don't participate. It's not fair to the people who put actual thought into a gift. Commenter 1 says, so let's say there's 10 employees in this daycare. Only one person's struggling financially and they didn't sign up. It requires empathy to be able to see that it would be extremely embarrassing to have all of your colleagues judge you and let them into your personal struggles. I don't know about you, but I think that sounds like a really crappy position to be in, especially during the holidays when you're likely already beating yourself up for feeling inadequate. OP says, yeah, and I could be empathetic if that were the case, but we have 25 employees and 9 signed up, and you can see who signed up. That commenter 1 is doing the most. They're doing the most. Why are you, riding this person's back? Comment 3 says, I would contact the exchange moderator and show them my gifts. I may actually send out an email with the items in the garbage, because that's rude and uncalled for. OP says, I did. It's our boss. I let my boss know I wasn't expecting her to do anything about it, and that I brought it up because I was confused by the gifts, especially one being expired. Deodorant doesn't have a marked expired date. And my bosses agreed that it was inadequate and confusing because deodorant at bare minimum is weird. I asked if she could go into more detail next year about expectations and come to her if they can't afford a gift like they thought they might at sign up. She also said she'd make it up to me because she appreciates my hard work. I went out and bought her a gift as well since her daughter is in one of my classes, and they bought me a gift together as one of her teachers. That's so sweet.
Gift giving.
Love this. I put thought into it. She's health conscious, but her daughters, 4, got them a charcuterie board gingerbread house kit. Comment 4 says, what kind of stuff did you list on your sheet as interests? OP says, my interests included art, crochet, coloring, clay, scrapbooks, football, video games. Then asked about our favorites like scents, snacks, drinks, movies, etc. Comment 5 says, don't be petty. You're the a-hole. That's what happens with mandatory Secret Santa gifts at work. Sometimes you get crappy gifts. Sometimes you get a well-thought-out gift. Sometimes you don't get any gift at all. Just be the bigger person and donate to a women's shelter. Unless if the products are out of date and expire, just toss them in the garbage. That's a crazy thing to be like, yeah, well, if you don't want them, donate them. Unless you actually can't use them, then throw them out, actually.
I don't think I would want to donate that.
That's so weird. I would not donate that. These comments are weird.
It's like donating used underwear.
Yeah, I hate this. OP says it wasn't mandatory. Commenter 6 says, if you keep it all totally anonymous, so only the original a-hole would even know, it might serve as a deterrent for future a-hole Secret Santas. But you run the risk of adding to a-holery also. Opie says, as far as I know, none of us know who our gifters were, nor do any of my coworkers know what my gift even was, since we didn't open them in front of each other, however. The shampoo is expired, and that is my deterrent for setting it out for anyone else to take. I threw it away. I didn't even know shampoo could expire. That must be really old shampoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Comment 7 says, yes, you would be, and you already are one for insinuating that you're better than this person who put no effort in when you literally got your person an effortless and thoughtless gift too. OP literally got them like candy and the drinks, their favorite candy and their favorite drinks.
Dude, if
That's
you
something that they will like.
did that for me, you'd be my favorite person for a week.
That's crazy. It's like a $20 limit. OP's not buying them like, I don't know, a trip to Thailand.
But still, we don't know if OP smells or not.
Sure, we
I
don't
want to
that.
know that.
We don't know that. Comment 8 says it's a $25 limit. She bought her person their favorite snacks. She got her Secret Santa a thoughtful present specific to her person within the cost limit. The person that got her gave her shampoo that is no longer in production and deodorant. They are not the same. Comment 9 says, they are to me. It's giving, I spent my EBT on this. Comments are so weird.
That was a very charged comment.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
God. OP says, so giving my person what they asked for and not just what they asked for, but upgraded versions of it. For example, she put fruit snacks. I bought her 2 kinds of the juice-filled fruit snacks. I looked for other things, but her interests were things like unpopular specific anime that doesn't have merch. There were no candles at 2 stores I went to looking for stuff for her that were specific to her favorite scents, but go off on my effort. Well, there is an update.
Oh, dude.
These comments are stupid. I
Where-
don't like these comments.
Where did they post this on, like,
I don't know.
Red Pill, the subreddit Red Pill or
Must
something?
be. OP literally said I got deodorant and shampoo that I can't use.
Half a
and everyone's
bottle.
like, how dare you? You're ungrateful. You should have just gargled with that mouth shampoo.
Well,
Should have rubbed that deodorant all over your body. Your ungrateful body.
this is the stereotypical Reddit
Yeah.
subreddits that people are on.
Yeah, insane. Update says, I didn't put up at the front desk. I mainly because the shampoo was expired. Didn't want anyone to grab it and use it, so I tossed it. Which I'm glad I didn't go that route because today I found out who the gifter was because she came into my classroom with a replacement gift.
Oh my goodness.
She got chewed out. 100%. I feel like the boss went to her and said, hey, you remember that gift you gave? You have to give a new gift.
WTF was this?
Yeah. We did our gift exchanges at work on Friday. My boss passed out the gifts, so we individually opened them in our classrooms, not in front of each other, and didn't discuss or reveal who had gotten what and from who. The gift was not aimed at my hygiene or me at all. So you think. There was a misunderstanding because my gifter is from another country, as are about a third of my coworkers, some from Venezuela, a few from Algeria, and one from Iran. She didn't understand what Secret Santa was, but she wanted to participate.
Aw.
Aww. Wait, this is like the only, and now the only a-hole in the story are the commenters
And us.
and us. She said she had looked it up, but whatever had popped up in Google explained what kind of gift you get for White Elephant from how she explained what she'd read from Google, not Secret Santa. She doesn't speak much English, so something got mixed up in translation. She realized it, though, when she opened her gift and saw the teacher in her room that day who had also participated, that their gifts were new. So she asked the teacher, who then explained Secret Santa, and my gifter felt embarrassed. She hadn't even filled out a sheet either, so adding even more misunderstanding to my interest sheet. I have worked with her before, and she's a pretty sweet lady. She got me a candle, a cute hair bow, and a matching mug.
Aw.
Okay.
Best friends.
Okay.
This is the equivalent
Nice.
of 2 dudes getting in a fight and making up afterwards.
Nice. This is great.
This is
What a turnaround for this person.
this is where, like, you need all the context.
Yeah, but
We're going to be called so many a-holes in this whole story because we didn't get this last bit of information until
That's
now.
the whole point. That's the whole point. We have to give immediate thoughts.
How dare you think that this person was bad? She just didn't know what was happening.
Everyone thought that. It wasn't just me. We were all on the same page. You guys can't say that you didn't think that too. And you also would probably be a little bit disappointed if you got deodorant and shampoo at Secret Santa. But the real a-holes were the commenters. They sucked. All of them. I definitely appreciate it much more knowing the circumstances. She was extremely apologetic of the whole thing, and I assured her I wasn't upset at all, and that I appreciated the makeup gift. My boss also gave me a $20 gift card, because that was her making it up to me. I let my boss know that the gifter had made up for it, and she was still fine giving me the gift card as well. Win! Double win! You got a gift, and you got a $20 gift card? Nice! And you got expired shampoo and deodorant.
I mean,
Wins across the board.
you put up a little bit of fuss and you get rewarded so much at the back end of it.
Yeah. I also gifted my boss a charcuterie gingerbread house today to do with her kiddo. Although I'm glad things turned out the way they did. I think the only thing I learned was being patient and confirming circumstances before being petty. Because had the other circumstances been confirmed, thoughtless gift, a gift directed at my hygiene, I still think leaving it at the front desk would have been well warranted, especially since no one else had seen what she'd gotten me or knew she was my gifter. But I know that you guys can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story.
It's always best not to assume the worst without all the context. This is all relationships.
Yeah. Update 2. The gifter just messaged me asking for the expired product back.
Okay, here it goes again.
I'm not sure what for, and I don't really want to ask, but I threw it away already. Now I feel bad for tossing it. Do I compensate her for it? No! 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 How do I calculate the depreciation value of the expired product from its original price point from 2021 when it was taken out of production and sale? I haven't messaged her back as I do want to let her know I threw it away, but feel like I need to make up for it somehow because it was all just a misunderstanding. If it wasn't clear, the depreciation was a joke.
Say you used it.
No, yeah. I would just say I used it already. And she'll be like, how did you use it though? I think that's really, and it might be a cultural thing, but I think it is a little strange to ask for a gift that you gifted someone.
In my
back.
culture, if you give someone Tupperware, you are expected it back.
That's different.
Well, I don't know.
That's not a gift. That's just a loan.
The food inside of it is a gift.
Yeah. My husband thought his antidepressants were male birth control, and now I'm pregnant.
Who's his doctor?
Trigger warning for mentions of child abuse and physical abuse. My husband, male 23, and I, female 25, have one child together, the youngest. I have 2 with my ex-fiance. Total, that's 3 kids. The youngest just turned 1 a week ago. By the way, this comes from Impossible Brother 927. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. But OP says, all 3 of my labors have been botched some way or another, and we wanted to try to save up to move out of state. Well, I found out I'm pregnant. I was shocked, but not nearly as shocked as my husband. Why, you ask? Because my husband swears he was on birth control. You read that right. Despite there being nothing FDA approved for men to take in pill form, he swears he was given birth control pills and that he's been taking them for over a month. He cannot show me the paperwork with information on the pill he was given. He cannot show me the container the pills were in. He can't even remember the name of them. But somehow, someway, he's adamant he was on birth control pills. Added, I was on the Nova ring, so yes, measures were taken on my end to prevent this. I love kids, and I'm thinking about keeping this pregnancy. But this really wasn't something I wanted to do again. I don't know what to do. I want to tell my husband I'm going to call his doctor and ask, because if his doctor was giving him something not FDA approved, we can sue and he needs to switch offices. But I don't believe my husband. Maybe if I tell him I'm going to call his doctor's office, he'll be honest with me. Edit to add, I'm not worried about finances. I'm a CNA and he works in HVAC. We can more than afford one more kid. It just wasn't in the books. And I'll reiterate, I was on birth control when this happened. He did not tell me about his pill until after I told him I was pregnant. I've been trying to get sterilized since 2022, but my OB refuses until I turn 26 or have a boy. Since I'm on an HMO insurance, my resources are limited, so I can't keep switching offices to get a surgery that's deemed elective. Any advice, please? And there is an update, but does anyone have any thoughts?
Based on that next
No.
sentence that I accidentally saw, I still think I was right. The doctor's side effect, he just took as law.
I think your husband's just a little bit of a dummy and should get a vasectomy. And that
Shawnee
will
OP
help.
says, I would be so happy if I don't have boys. Boys are the most annoying. I know, as an ex-boy.
Oh,
You guys
man.
are funny.
You guys are funny. You're funny. Update. He was using an antidepressant that causes lower libido as birth control. He thought libido meant motility. I explained the difference, and he's coming home from work early so we can talk about what to do. If I update again, it will be in a separate post. Thank you to the few people that were genuinely kind and concerned, and thank you to all the helpful people tossing out suggestions about the situation. He will also be meeting with a psychiatrist tomorrow to be evaluated for schizophrenia, since a few others brought up symptoms I mentioned throughout the comments being possibly linked. Whoa!
Wow.
Okay!
I don't know, D-Red. It's like he heard, like, he was hearing all these things from the doctor. And this is I guarantee the doctor's like, do you have any questions? And he went, no.
Did I
At
know
some
everything?
point, it's not a fail on education. He is just stupid if he's not asking questions.
Yeah.
That's just a lack of wanting to learn.
Or at least, like,
And also, we need to get a
knowing.
vasectomy. Just in general. Why is, like, genuine? And OP, this is, I think, partially on you if you haven't brought it up. If you cannot get sterilized and that's something that you want to prevent having more kids, then why haven't we brought up your husband getting a vasectomy?
Kelsey Jade says, in Cali, they won't give women a hysterectomy until she's 25 or has at least 3 kids.
so
Dumb
dumb.
AF.
That's so dumb.
Yeah. Again, there's a list somewhere that has the doctors
Yeah.
willing to look past that.
The absolutely insane thing is that the amount of women, specifically women of color, who have been sterilized in this country.
Oh my
And
god.
also,
yeah.
then the flip side of the women who want to get sterilized can't. Update 2. I'm making this post as an update and to clear some things up. I have a second job I've maintained since I graduated CNA school. It's not mentioned in my post history because I have no issues with that job. I also got hired at a facility 3 days before I was terminated from the facility I posted about. So yes, I'm still working. I had no plans to sue my husband's doctor. If we put on our reading glasses, I said I was going to tell my husband that I would sue his doctor if the office really gave him illegal substances. Now, with context clues, that should tell you guys I was using that as a tactic to see if he would admit to lying. As a CNA, I am aware that unless I'm permitted by my husband to access his health information, calling the doctor won't do anything. Now, if I'm saying I can call and get that information, what does that tell you guys? Maybe the CNA knows what she's talking about and has that permission. Apparently, the NuvaRing is one of the most useless birth control methods to exist. Several women in the comments stated getting pregnant on it, and one man mentioned his wife's OB saying it's just a waste of silicone. So there's that. Yes, I had 2 kids with an ex. We were together for 6 years. I was told at 17 I was infertile. So kid number 1 came along. Kid number 2 came around on the implant. It was a harmful relationship, and I was told if I did anything to hurt his babies, that I would get... Oh, that's something that happened. This man was bad. I had no family support, so I was stuck. Kid number 3, my husband's was the pill. I've been fighting to get sterilized since 2022 after kid number 2, but my OB keeps refusing because I haven't had a boy yet. George Ahad is his name, by the way, so any women currently seeing him can switch offices. On to the update. My husband is an idiot, plain and simple. He was taking the medication fluoxetine, and since it can cause low libido, he thought he was going to be shooting blanks. Apparently, his mother never signed the permission form for him to get spicy education, so he didn't know much about the female anatomy or really anything besides hygiene and that dough wiener goes into the vagina, which explains getting the meaning of libido mixed up with motility. We had a long talk. He's calling out on Wednesday to get the vasectomy done. Thankfully, we live in a retirement population, so you can practically walk in. Today, he's off so we can talk about what to do, both about this child and our relationship. I told him I didn't like being put in a situation where I'm having to choose between money and comfort over a child's life because he didn't understand what 2 words meant, and that if he had gotten the vasectomy the first 2 times it was scheduled, then we wouldn't be having this problem. We're going to therapy the first week of September to see if this is something we can work through. And there is a third update, folks. But yeah,
Boy,
that's
oh
a big
boy.
problem. I don't have any other thoughts other than, yeah, you're going to have to work through this.
And yeah, your husband's an idiot.
Yes, all those things are true. Yeah.
Storm Kitten 18 said,
Yeah.
imagine having to have the birds and the bees conversation with your husband
After 3 kids.
after 3 kids.
Well, okay, to
After
be fair,
a
1
3-year-old
kid.
But
Yeah.
that kid is 3.
Yeah, I guess OP didn't have the first 2 kids.
So
To be fair.
yeah, you get all the kids. Well, one of them is pretty dang young.
No, you said the 3-year-old down 2. We're starting now.
Yeah, I guess we're
If
getting
this
all
is the
kids.
genes that 3-year-old's coming from, we're starting
Well,
now.
no, the 3-year-old is the first 2 kids are
Right.
from the ex.
He said the 3-year-old was too young to sit down for the talk, though. I said we
Oh,
got to
yeah.
get him in now.
Yeah, we got to
He,
start.
he came from the genes of the dumb one.
No, the dumb one is OP's husband, current husband.
Yeah. And that 3-year-old came from the dumb one.
Has it
The
been
first
3
2
years?
kids. I'm pretty sure their current kid is 3.
The one that they birthed?
Yes.
I don't think they have had the birth yet.
No, they
Not the one
have
she's
a one
pregnant
kid.
with. They have another kid together.
Oh,
OP has 3 kids total right now.
Oh, okay. Got
The
you,
2 with her ex and the 1 with her husband.
Yes, understood now. I
They're
forgot
about to have
the
her
third kid.
4th kid.
Got
if she keeps it.
You. Update 3. Hello, everyone. I posted a bit back about finding out I was pregnant and my husband telling me afterwards that he was on male birth control, only to find out it was actually an antidepressant that caused lowered libido, which he thought meant motility. Last, I had updated. We had just found out about what the pills were and that we were trying to decide what to do about this unplanned pregnancy. Well, things have gone downhill from there. On Friday, I got a call from CPS asking me to file an ex parte to gain emergency custody of my older 2 daughters who were with their dad because when I left him, I moved into a house with substance users and I didn't want my kids around that. My ex had hurt my oldest daughter and I filed and got my older 2 daughters. I totally understand that you were in a situation where you needed to get out of, but I am just like truly wondering why you hadn't filed earlier to get them out of that situation.
Yeah, I wonder how recent it's been, even
yeah.
just like her officially getting away.
Well, like 3 years at least.
They could have still like been stuck in some
yeah.
like legal marriage or
Sure.
something though.
Yeah. But that's not a judgment on you because I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Oh.
My mother-in-law did not want them around despite agreeing they needed to be with us before I had filed the ex parte. She told me I needed to choose to surrender them to the state or sign a contract stating I would be a single mom to them and not let my husband, her son, help with anything, even down to who paid for the groceries the kids would eat. And I was to work overnights, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., so nobody would have to help me get the kids from school or watch them while I slept. My husband and I told her neither of those options were fair or doable, along with calling her out on multiple lies she stated as she was saying them. She got in my face and screamed at me while I was holding my youngest 1-year-old daughter. She scared her and didn't care. By the way, you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There's a little bit left.
Maybe you should ask mother-in-law why her son's so dumb.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think, unfortunately, it seems like mother-in-law had a lot of sway, partially because of this kind of like dynamic of maybe
Ugh.
keeping him in the dark.
Yeah.
She kept yelling, so my husband pulled her away from me and told me to pack all the kids. So now we live with his aunt while we try to pick ourselves up. We pay rent and electric, buy our own groceries, and clean the house. She's disabled and needs the help. The entire rest of his family told us they're all behind us and supporting us. People have been bringing my older daughter's clothes and shoes and helping us move in furniture and helping us with food so we can focus on moving. This will be the final update, I think. I don't see much reason to update again. Dang, that is really tough. I'm glad your daughters are out of that situation. I'm glad
Yeah.
you are out of that situation.
And that most of the family seems supportive,
Yeah.
save for mother-in-law.
Yeah, and you know what? Make the right decision for you on whether or not you're keeping your kid or the baby. That's completely up to you. And I hope everything goes well either way. My best friend lied to me for years and was secretly in love with me.
Well, are you in love with them?
I, female 28, have been friends with Blake, 28 male, for about 10 years now. We met when I was traveling for a new job out of state. And I kid you not, immediately became best friends in the week that I was there. Same interests, great energy, and conversation, we just clicked. By the way, this comes from Songbird Spectrum. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Angie.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, we were friends for nearly 2 years before trying the dating thing. It lasted 3 months, important, during which Blake did not treat me well due to unresolved issues from prior relationships. Okay, not a great start. Before I could end it, he decided to end it himself as he had feelings for someone else. Fine with me, we were clearly better as friends. I took some space because he hadn't been treating me well. He got into therapy and apologized for being terrible, and was willing to put in the work to regain my trust for our friendship, which he did consistently over the 8 years since. Fast forward to now. I am now happily married to my wonderful husband, Cam, 28 male, together for 6 years, married for about 2. Oh, this is about to get messy.
Oh boy.
Blake and I are still best friends. He is now with a wonderful woman, Kaylee, 21 female, for almost 2 years now. Started dating a few months before my wedding. This is important. Kaylee and I are also good friends. She's the sweetest person. Blake also lives in the same city as me now, after his mother passed, having moved down here for a better support network. His girlfriend moved in about 9 months ago. In the past 6 months or so, things have been very strained with Blake. My husband is very introverted, and Blake started voicing frustration about his inability to be closer friends with Cam and feeling like he bothers Cam. He and I also started having weird tiffs with subtle negs and belittling comments. Then my husband and I came over to a game night for Blake's birthday 3 months ago, during which Blake picked fights with me about very weird things. For example, my career path, how I'm going about it wrong, making comments like, I guess if you want to stunt yourself in life, you can do it that way. Both
Rude.
Cam and I were caught very off guard, and after several attempts to shut it down, made excuses and headed home. Later, Blake proceeded to send me a text asking if I was okay because the vibes felt off. To which I was like, no kidding, and explained my issue. He decided to reply with an email. Who uses email anymore? 8 long paragraphs about how he felt he and his experience was dismissed in our discussion. How he felt ganged up on when Cam would defend my side, and how he felt like he can't be himself around me and Cam anymore. He also made comments voicing that he didn't feel like he could trust me because I tell Cam everything. Not true. I always ask before sharing unless it's a danger or moral issue. Okay, so it's not even true. And that he thinks I'm unhealthily codependent on Cam because whenever Blake and I hang out one-on-one, I'm always calling to let Cam know how late I'll be out or check if I'm cool to pick up takeout. That's literally her husband. That's her husband.
Yeah,
She's
like, what are
checking
you
in with her
expecting?
husband.
It's like, oh my god, you tell him everything. Tell him too much. Yeah, dude, that's what relationships are for. It's for all the secrets.
Yeah,
okay?
secret.
Why you get into relationships is
Yeah.
your secret.
2 people I tell everything to. My
Yeah.
best friend Isabella and my boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you say, hey, don't tell my
Right.
best friend
then
Isabella.
it's like, sure,
or
okay,
my
I won't do
boyfriend.
that. Yeah,
But you gotta be,
You have
it's
to-
like a genie. You gotta be
Yeah.
real specific in your wording.
it honestly really is.
Yeah.
Very specific.
And it's like, ha ha ha. They're like, don't tell. Okay, damn. You got
Fine.
me.
Fine.
We're married with joint finances. Sue me. I'm suing you. I replied, trying to clarify my end as well as understand where the ever-loving heck this all was coming from. But no matter how many times I tried, we kept going in circles. The emailing back and forth, during which he demanded we not meet up till this was resolved, lasted till about 2 weeks ago, when I said I needed time to think about how to reply next. About a month ago, I got into therapy because it was seriously messing with my head and making me feel like I was a problem and like I couldn't talk to anyone about this because we share much of our support system. I finally broke down to my sister when she came over to see why I hadn't been answering her, or really anyone. Yay, anxiety, lately. She is also friends with Blake through me. I let her read the emails. She got pretty ticked on my behalf, and then proceeded to drop a hell of a bombshell on me and Cam. Blake is
Uh-oh.
apparently still in love with me and hates Cam's guts.
Boo!
Boo!
Sorry, dude. You had your chance and you treated me so poorly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he literally treated her terribly,
Yeah.
left her for another girl,
Yeah.
and then is coming. Well, I mean, I guess he's not telling her, but we're finding out that he's been in love with her this whole time.
Yeah, and that's why he's been crap talking him this whole time.
Messed up. Get out of
Messed
here.
up.
Apparently, when she drove to pick up Blake out of state for our wedding, he was a groomsman, he confided in her and her husband that he didn't agree with the wedding and wished I would break up with Cam and give him another chance, that we're soulmates and Cam isn't the one for me. My sister shut it down, but Blake proceeded to do the same thing when she drove him back home after our wedding. He ended off saying he just needed some time, so my sister kept her mouth shut because she knew that he's my best friend and hoped she could trust him to resolve it over time since he lived far away. Blake then moved near me about a year ago, and Kaylee moved in the August after. My husband's and my wedding anniversary is in October, and apparently Blake called my sister's husband to again confide that he's still in love with me and wishes I would divorce Cam because he would be a better husband to me.
You have no credibility there.
You literally already had your chance and you failed.
Yeah, if it could have worked out, it would have, and it didn't.
And it freaking didn't.
Yeah.
While living with Kaylee, who he's told me is his soulmate, I think he's lying. This was about when all the stress started, so she never found a good moment to bring it up. As if to ice the cake, Kaylee and I have been keeping up via text through all of this. Again, we're friends. During the past few weeks, I learned some odd things. Kaylee got new piercings, reportedly encouraged by Blake to do so because she looked so cute. A double nose piercing and septum, which possibly coincidentally Blake told me to get as a post-wedding gift 2 years ago. Blake apparently has beef with the month of August, and so has decided their anniversary will be in October.
I'm sorry. You have beef with a whole month?
You got beef with a monk?
With a monk?
You got beef with a monk?
How could you even do that?
He doesn't
I'm
have
sorry.
beef with
That's
anyone.
like out of all the stupid things that are in this story.
Yeah.
That's the stupidest thing ever.
August.
You have beef with the month of August, and that's in quotes.
Yeah. The reason he gave was because it's spooky month. That's not even true. That's October.
Where do they live?
Oh, sorry. I thought the reason he was giving for not liking August was
I'm
that it was
just
spooky
scared.
month. But the
It's
reason
just
that he
scary.
wants the anniversary in October is because it's spooky month. I see. But Cam and I started dating and got married that month. I also, at my sister's prompt, went back and checked when Blake and I broke up. August 2017. It's also worth noting Blake had another relationship fall apart because the girl was outright convinced Blake was cheating on her with me, to the point of blasting me for weeks as some homewrecker. Cam and I always chalked it up to her insecurity, but now I'm wondering if she was just watching Blake carry on some weird one-sided emotional affair. I love my husband more than words can say, and he makes me happier than anyone I've ever met. He's my ultimate best friend. Learning all of this has made me feel so gross and like a horrible wife, though Cam has been wonderfully supportive and doesn't blame me at all. All this to say, I'm ending our friendship, but have no clue how. I feel like I have to tell Kaylee, as this has all happened during their relationship and living together, and the woman deserves the world, but also recognize I have no real proof beyond spoken accounts besides the weird emails. Sounds like some wild conspiracy theory or soap opera. My therapist is on vacation, so I'm on my own after learning all this. I'm also realizing just how manipulative Blake has been for years given this context, and already feel shaky about confronting him given my serious confrontation anxiety, which he knows about and could easily try to exploit. I'm realizing more and more that he has massive control issues that I dismissed as anxiety for years. The fact that he lives so close now fills me with dread rather than joy. I want to come out of this with no regrets, knowing I stood up for myself and that I put a decisive end to this. I want Blake to know his actions and creepy ulterior motives are the reason our decade-long friendship is done. I've never ended a friendship myself, and this is basically friend breakup on steroids. How do I break this lunacy to Kaylee in a way that sounds remotely believable, given the front Blake has built? I also would love some advice on how to go about telling Blake I know everything and we're absolutely done, and there is an update. Any thoughts?
Obviously, you want to be honest with her, and I think you will be. I don't think you're leaning towards like leaving things out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's definitely a way to go about it of just like, hey, I just want to talk to you. I'm going to preface it with all of this stuff about like, I just found this out. This is what's happening. This is what I'm doing about it. Like,
That's how it makes me feel.
yeah, like this is what I heard. You might want to check with him to make sure that's true.
Yeah.
This is just what I heard, and I
From
feel
her
like,
sister, so reliable
Yeah.
source.
yeah, exactly. Like I'm going to believe it. And honestly, he's been acting weird, like this and this and this all of our years. I didn't like how he treated me, all this stuff. Like, I think that this stuff is a lie.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if Kaylee knows about his beef with August and
Yeah.
like is maybe wondering
What's
why
up
that
with
is.
August?
What's up with her? What's that
Yeah.
about?
And it might be the wrong idea, but potentially you could bring Cam to that meeting since they were friends or
Yeah.
like somewhat friends.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're really uncomfortable or feel a little bit like scared about this,
Mhm.
maybe bring Cam and just say like,
Sure.
hey, you sit over there. We're gonna have a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Update. Next day. Cam knew about my and Blake's dating stint from the start. Cam also has friends who he has similarly dated. This is not an issue for us, and he has been aware and involved in everything that happened. My husband told me to tell any who are concerned. I love and trust my wife, and if someone has a problem, that's a you problem, bucko. Now that that's aside, I decided to talk to Kaylee after all. I asked her to meet up and treated her to coffee and pastries, and then disclosed everything I knew. She listened, even reaching over to hold my hand when she saw me shaking, and thanked me for telling her. In short, she has decided to stay with Blake for now. They are living together, so somewhat
Yeah.
fair. But is moving forward with this in mind, as is her right to decide. She wants to stay friends with me and fully understands that I want nothing to do with Blake and why, as well as to not share any info about me with him, and that there will be some distance for a bit. I did confront Blake in person. This was mostly due to the fact that I wanted to get it out of the way right after talking to Kaylee without raising alarm bells. And meeting up under the guise of talking it out in person was the easiest way to do that. My husband went with me, though the conversation was just between Blake and myself. I took several safety precautions as well, such as secretly recording the interaction. Initially, Blake started in on classic Darvo, saying he didn't remember saying those things to my sister, and then remembered certain things, but in different contexts. I shut all that down, as well as any excuses and justifications given, and firmly landed my point that regardless of intent or reasoning, his actions are wildly inappropriate and inexcusable. After dismantling enough of the excuses, he actually offered several apologies, owning up to his actions. Whether he meant them or not, I don't know nor care, but it was semi-cathartic for sure. He insists everything with Kaylee is coincidental, but either way, that is between them at this point. The conversation ended with him saying he didn't want to lose our friendship, that he was willing to take a friendship break for a bit, establish better boundaries, that he feels he's in a better place to be more honest, that now he was aware of the issue, would pay more care in not breaking my boundaries. I shut him down, saying that ship sailed long ago, and it shouldn't have taken me saying I'm done for him to put effort into respecting me. He then said he'd respect my decision to end our friendship, but begged me to at least keep an open mind at possible future reconciliation. I was pretty much done at this point, and told him flat out that these are the consequences of his own actions, that I can never trust anything he says or does ever again. And that even if in some alternative universe I was open to that, he would be an acquaintance and certainly would never be my best or even close friend again. He was quiet and teary-eyed after this, I assume because he knew things were coming to a close. I stood up. He asked me for one last hug. I said no, reached out to shake his hand, and left without looking back, which felt kind of legendary until I got down the block and around the corner and had a panic attack that had been looming all day. Win some, lose some. By the way, you can win in life if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair that you're gonna have that panic attack afterwards. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
that was such a hard conversation to have.
yeah, it's just such a complicated situation in general. Like, you're going to have all of those feelings, even if you've made your decision on what you want to do about it, and how you feel on it. Like, it totally makes sense that there's still all these other complete opposing feelings.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm proud of you. I think you took care of it pretty well.
Agreed.
Yeah, just having that conversation is very impressive. Good job.
Agreed. Overall, though, I think this went as well as it could have. I'm not letting my guard down yet, just in case. But it's a relief that it's finally, seemingly resolved. Admittedly, I'm not doing great, but I know I'll be okay. Cam helped me realize I'm basically mourning the passing of a decade-long friend. While Blake himself may not be gone, the Blake I knew is, so I'm trying to give myself some grace in processing through this. Cam has decided tonight is reserved for tacos, cake, and video games together for some dopamine. And we're both calling into work tomorrow after this chaos. And that is the end of that story. Grandmother threatened to sue me for grandparents' rights after my father's affair.
So whose fault is this?
I, 32 female, have had a rough 6 months with my family. My parents are now divorced after 33 years of marriage because my father got cheating again, and I've been emotionally supporting my mother along the way. But now my grandmother is threatening with a lawyer. By the way, this comes from Second Time Over, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Riley.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you do in the comments. Over 3 years ago, my son, now 6, and I were living back home with my parents due to my divorce from a bad man. I had full custody of my son. I had been seeing my now husband for about a year at this time, and we were looking at apartments and houses to move into together since it was a long-distance relationship. In the evenings, after putting my son to bed, I would wait until both my parents headed to bed and spend a little time video chatting with my husband. One night, after getting my son into bed, I went to the living room, sat on the couch, and scrolled on my phone while watching TV. My position on the couch was sort of behind one of the chairs, my dad's chair, and he was still up and on his phone. He had acted weird before, saying goodnight to my son, but the reason didn't register until later. He placed his phone screen down in his lap. It didn't seem too strange in the moment. Between looking up at the TV and scrolling my phone, I caught a glimpse of his phone in his hands and was confused by the colors and format of what was on his screen. I opened my camera app and zoomed in. What I saw was the Messenger app, with the background changed to the light pink and hearts theme and dark pink message bubbles. Right away, red flags. I instantly started sharing this via text with my husband. My parents both left their phones in the living room at night to charge, so when it was time for bed, my dad plugged it in and left the room. I took that as my opportunity to go and see if what my gut told me was happening was true or not. I thought finding out my exes had cheated on me felt terrible, but in this moment, seeing proof that my own father was being this way toward my mother was even worse. The messages I read and the pictures I saw said it all. I might be the a-hole for going into his phone and collecting proof of what I found. That's fine, but I do not regret it one bit, because I had to tell my mother the next morning and I had to show her some of the messages. No pictures, because a daughter shouldn't have to see her father's unmentionables, let alone save them on her phone. My mom confronted him immediately. He denied having anything more than an emotional connection with the girl, let's call her Jen, but he said it had been going on for 6 months.
Whoa.
My mom kicked him out of the house that day. She told him she needed time and space to figure this out. Keep in mind that during those 6 months of just talking and building their emotional connection, my parents took a small vacation to celebrate their 30th wedding anniversary. Shortly after that, my mother nearly passed away from a biopsy gone wrong. All while these events and milestones were happening, he was busy building a relationship with Jen. Jen is also my age. After my mother kicked him out, my father had to tell both my sister and me separately about what was going on. I was second on the list because of transportation. This man looked me in the eyes and lied to my face when I asked if he cheated and slept with Jen. He denied it.
What?
That's crazy because OP is the one who found out, obviously.
Denied? What were you talking to then? An AI bot? What's happening?
2 weeks later, he was allowed back into the house and even shared a bed. For me, it was sickening to see that my mother would try to move past it like it didn't happen and try to move forward. She did therapy and counseling. He broke things off with Jen and had to delete all forms of social media. I told her I would support her in any decision she made. From there on, I played nice and didn't ruffle any feathers with either of them. My son and I moved out shortly after, and my husband has a zero tolerance policy concerning cheaters. He pulled away the most from my parents, mostly my father. But over the next 3 years, we both made solid efforts to build a different kind of relationship with my father. The relationship with my mother went right back to normal for us and only got stronger with time. 6 months ago, my father went in for shoulder surgery. My mother held onto his phone, which was turned off when given to her, when the nurses rolled him away. She sat in the waiting room for updates, but then she had a moment, call it her gut, telling her she needed to check his phone. She hadn't been checking his phone during the last 3 years because he told her he wanted their marriage to work, and she trusted that. Sure enough, she turned his phone on and found messages with Jen from that morning. My mother read through enough of the conversation and then called me. Right away, I knew what had been done. This time, she was done. Only a few hours later, she was purchasing moving boxes and getting a plan in place. After he woke up from surgery, she was cold and handed him his phone. She could tell from his face that she knew, and he knew it was over. I have been emotionally supporting my mother this whole time, and from a distance because I live hours away. My father sent me one handwritten letter barely 2 weeks after it happened, asking that I don't keep my son away from him.
Ooh.
This triggered a few things for me. I'm married and have a blended family. I now have 3 bonus daughters. He chose to only address the one biologically related and not my family as a whole. And not even me, his daughter. After getting the letter, we had to tell our kids that their grandparents were getting a divorce. They asked why. We don't full-blown lie to our kids. We tell them the truth in ways that they can understand. We allow them to enjoy being kids, but we're also preparing them to grow up and be able to hold real discussions and real-world conversations.
As a person, you have to pick if you're going to be a great husband or a great dad. He's neither. How do you
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, he's failed on both accounts. So when they asked why, we had to tell them that their grandfather broke the trust and promises made to their grandmother, and that we are here to support her. They were so upset, but they knew it was time to love on their grandmother more than ever before, and they did just that. But my husband and I had to make the decision not to allow my father to be a part of our family for the time being, and especially while he was still not taking responsibility for his actions. He wasn't owning it. He was trying to be the victim. My father had to move in with his mother. She is in a wheelchair and doesn't like to leave her house unless she absolutely has to. This is my grandmother. She was my #1 favorite person in the world until I had my son, who stole my heart. And I was, until recently, her favorite grandchild, and my son her favorite great-grandchild. I'm the middle grandchild, and my son is the youngest great. I'm not sure why we are her favorite in comparison, and I'm not sure I'll ever find that out. Since my father moved in with my grandmother, we believe he isn't telling her the full story or the truth. My grandmother verbally lashed out at my mother, and my mother was her favorite above her own 5 kids and blamed her for everything. My grandmother got it in her head that my mother had been the one cheating, not my father. And my father isn't telling her otherwise. He wasn't telling anyone the truth, just that they had grown apart. Over the summer, my family traveled up for a vacation because we had our extra long distance extended family visiting. During this vacation, we had a down day at the house in town. I took the kids to run an errand and spend some time while others slept in. I thought about swinging in to visit my grandmother so she could see all the kids. But the night before, my father texted my mother saying he took those days off from work and wanted to join us on our day trips with our guests. For my husband and me, we said no. We weren't going to put ourselves or our kids into a situation we don't want. Since my father took the days off, I didn't want to chance bringing my kids over to visit in case he was there. So we didn't visit. My grandmother found out we were in town and didn't stop by. And that's what caused her to finally yell at my mother and blame her for my choice not to bring the kids by. My grandmother never reached out to me directly. I tried to swing by for a visit while driving through on my way to a work event. I wanted to clear the air with her and get a chance for her to visit with at least my son since I brought him along. I went one day and other families showed up, so I didn't get the chance to talk. But I planned to stop by the next day with my son. And I texted my father telling him I was going to stop by, but would ask that he wasn't in the house while my son was there. I wanted my son and my grandmother to have a chance to visit. He chose that moment to tell his mother about my ask. She freaked out and told him to tell me not to bother if he couldn't stay too. I didn't visit. My husband stepped in like the man I needed him to be and had a whole other conversation with my father, defending our choice on why we don't want him around yet, and giving him the answers on how to change this all around. A month ago, I got a letter in the mail from my grandmother. It was all over the place, but the part we can't get past is where she says she has a family lawyer but wants to try to keep this out of court. She believes that she and my father have grandparents' rights and are entitled to my child.
Under special circumstances.
And these aren't very special. By the way, you know what is special? Listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. I have drafted a letter for both my grandmother and father, both to include printed copies of the screenshots of my father's conversations with Jen from 3 years ago, and a full breakout of all the events and facts I know to be true. My husband wants us to get a lawyer first and have a cease and desist drafted and sent to them, along with or without the letter I wrote. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for not allowing my father to be part of my kids' lives while he continues to lie and cheat his way through this whole situation? We want positive role models in our kids' lives. And am I the a-hole for wanting to share all my facts and evidence with my grandmother and father? And am I in the wrong for wanting to go against my husband's wishes of getting a lawyer and just send the letters and speak my piece at last? And that is the end of the story. I do think that maybe you should get a lawyer just to protect yourself and your family.
And then countersue.
Or also send, well, they haven't sent a suit against them yet.
But if they
Grandmother-
do,
yeah.
prep
yeah.
for a countersue.
But I do think that you should tell your grandmother everything.
That's the end of that episode.
And
See you tomorrow.